All right, and we are live.
Finally.
Yes.
Well, better late than never, right?
Yes, sir.
Welcome back, folks. This is the AJ Show. It's Ep.3. I'm JkBogen. He is Adam Grego. And we're here. We're here for you.
They said we wouldn't be back.
No, they said we wouldn't be back. We got a new table, so if it looks different, like these are actually even now,
I know.
that's why.
It's awesome.
Because you guys, as this channel and, this whole brand continues to grow, so do we.
Yeah.
Our setup continues to get better each week. It's just, it's all been really fun. But so we have a fun show for you guys today. First off, we're going to, recap the divisional round. All right, maybe not so fun for
I know, not fun for
us. But we're going to be doing that. We're going to be talking some NFL draft, just pretty much whatever comes to mind. Plus, the NFL did release a memo that there's a bunch of new protocol that we definitely have to go over and let people know, what the deal is with that.
Yep.
And then NFL news, including my guy Dwayne Haskins signing with your team, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, you love him.
Yeah, I like him. We got some retirees. We have, the Jared Goff, Sean McVay turmoil, air quotes needed. The John Johnson thing on Instagram, and Mark Ingram got cut, and he actually, surprisingly, could sign with any team in the playoffs right now. So we'll talk about, is that even fair, first off? And we'll talk about who he could sign with.
Yep.
And then the coaching news. We have plenty of coaching news. We'll look at next year's candidates as well, just kind of a brief overview. And then we'll wrap it up with the divisional playoff round and, potential Super Bowl prediction.
Yes. So, I'm excited. It's going to be good.
We got a fun show for you guys. Straight up, I'm really excited. I'm thrilled about this, as Steve Jobs would say. So, so let's start off divisional round. The Packers took down my Rams 32-18 to reach the second straight NFC title game. Now, Adam, we went into this game thinking, well, the Rams defense is going to be the only way they can win this game.
Yes. Yep.
And Jared Goff, from what I saw, played pretty well, and the offense moved the ball. So what went wrong, would you say, when you were watching this game?
Your defense, bro. It was kind of like watching the Steelers against the Browns, and the defense that kind of carried them the whole way, or at least, got them to the dance, just didn't really show up in a similar fashion, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate because, I think if the defense shows up the way they have throughout the stretch, and of course, we talked about the Aaron Donald injury. How much would that affect him? I think really what it comes down to is I had no idea Aaron Donald was that hurt. I honestly do not even think he should have played.
Yeah, but you're gonna play in the playoffs if you're not dead. If you have legs to walk on,
Well, Cooper Kupp was out, and the offense still moved the football. You saw some contributions out of Cam Akers, the rookie, and then of course Van Jefferson. But in this game, we have to talk about Green Bay. We have to talk about the fact that they just figured out a way to run it down the Rams' throat. Essentially, with the light box up front for the Rams. They didn't load the box.
Right.
They basically were like, all right, you run the ball, and then we'll go from there. And they never really truly made adjustments to the power running game of Aaron Jones, of Jamal Williams, and, A.J. Dillon, the rookie.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's always the same song and dance. Teams get to the playoffs multiple ways during the season, but every time the playoffs hit, it just feels like what you really need is your defense to, be consistent and to have a running game. It just feels like it always comes back to those two things, and it keeps showing up every week. We talked about it on the show prior. We were both talking about, man, the teams that won in advance to this week were the ones that were running the football well and not, not turning the ball over, obviously, and then consistent defense. And the Packers ran the ball real well.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they had their consistent defense, which has been solid, all year. And then they won the game. So to say I would be, I was surprised would be an utter lie. I mean, it made sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, we saw it, of course, with Derrick Henry in the last round of the playoffs, the previous one. Derrick Henry was stopped, and we were a little shocked how that happened, but it happened. And so, when you can't get your running back the ball, sometimes that's what's happened. But the Rams were able to run the football. It was just a matter of what it came down to is, I mean, when you put Jared Goff in position where he had to win the football game for you, and you didn't really give him much of an opportunity. You had Bobby Evans, who I was raving about. He had an awful game at left guard, got absolutely destroyed by Dean Lowry, and others. So Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, he's great.
He's awesome.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's who I believe is the GOAT. But what I'll say this. They won a game, and they showed you, without really truly utilizing Aaron Rodgers.
No, he didn't really do anything impressive, to be honest. I said it that game.
Yeah, I mean, really, they just wanted to run the football.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was a tough task because when you have a guy like Matt LaFleur who, you know, came up with Sean McVay and came up in his system, he's part of his coaching tree, he had to figure out a way to kind of outsmart the Rams, in a sense. And you know, I saw, you know, these different motions and having the two back set in the shotgun. Love it. Here's what I think. Sean McVay next year better run that because they have Darrell Henderson and Cam Akers. And the way they were running that with A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones, or Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, or Jamal Williams, A.J. Dillon was very impressive.
Well, I mean, I agreed completely. I think that Sean McVay overall was probably a little outcoached in that game. I just feel like they were scheming their guys open really well and just kind of they were in a rhythm. It felt like they just never lost control of that football game.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically the one touchdown that basically was just like stolen against Jalen Ramsey. That wasn't anything creative or crazy, but it's just like, well, we're just going to motion him and get separation before the ball even snaps, which is hilarious. They just motioned. It was Devontae Adams, right?
It was Devontae Adams, and so that play I went through, and there were a lot of people saying like Jalen Ramsey was straight up trash because of that. And what I'll say is this: when I was watching that play over again, I saw something very, very easy to see on film. Jalen Ramsey had to sift through all sorts of traffic in the back end, right?
Yeah.
And then, so when he does that, he gets to the point he almost gets there despite having to go through everybody because no one's moving out of the way for him.
Right.
So he's running. He's taking the long way. Adams has a quick path because he's just motioning.
Yep.
And he is basically saying, like, Nick Scott has to help out. The safety is supposed to take over that.
I mean, yeah, and in the goal line situation, you just have to have better adjustments than that, man, because it's like a 2-yard
And Nick
cushion.
Scott's been playing well. He's normally a reserve safety, but he's been pushed into extra action. But this is what Nick Scott did. He literally, and I'm watching on film, I'm like, oh no, that's why Ramsey, like everyone's like, Ramsey's such a crybaby. I'm like, dude, if you watch that play over again in all 22, Ramsey's coming across the other side of the field, so he just ran all that to not even make the play because Nick Scott gets in his way and just stands there. So Ramsey's like, what are you doing? You know, so that is exactly what happened. And you gotta give Green Bay credit. They did a lot of that. They didn't even get, and like I said, I didn't think Adams was going to go over 70 yards receiving, and he didn't.
Yeah.
And it's weird because when you look at this game, you know, the Rams defense on paper didn't play as bad as I think that they did on the actual field. I thought that they were just totally outmatched.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, and I mean, if that game was played again, Aaron Donald's 100%, it's probably a different game. But it goes to show you, though, how reliant they were on Aaron Donald to create pressure to open up everything for everyone else.
Yeah.
So, moving on, we have the Ravens, who ran into all sorts of trouble in Buffalo, 17-3.
God, that was disgusting. That game was not fun.
Not fun.
No.
Yeah, so Lamar Jackson got hurt. Tyler Huntley came in and actually led a pretty decent comeback effort.
Yeah.
They fell short because they went for it on 4th down near the goal line, and Dobbins got stopped.
Yep.
So what were your – I mean, we kind of both said it, but what were your overall thoughts in this game? And did the Bills impress you?
Probably not. No. I mean, it was just a low-scoring, slow kind of game. And, I mean, the second Lamar went out, I mean, that's just like –
Yeah, and I
not
still
that
think
he was
Huntley played
not that
well.
he was doing anything prior to that.
No, I know.
Then you're just like, okay, well, you know, that's that. I just wasn't. No, it wasn't surprising to me. And Buffalo is very legit. And man, I mean, they're gonna put up a fight against Kansas City. I don't want to like preview what I think is gonna happen, but Buffalo is legit, man. I am just week in, week out more and more impressed and sold on Buffalo.
Yeah, you know, Buffalo played a game, I think, that the Ravens wanted them to play. They wanted to keep it close.
Yeah,
they
of course.
wanted to, obviously, because, I mean, Lamar Jackson can blow a game open. Their run game can blow a game open. But
Yes.
Josh Allen's arm can blow a game open.
Yep.
And they kept him pretty
They
under
did.
wraps.
They did.
And so I think, John Harbaugh has to be sitting there like, we got literally the matchup we wanted. We
Right.
got the game we wanted, and it just didn't work out.
I think the number is like anytime you keep a team under 20 points, like that's a game you want to be in. You know what I mean? Like that's a situation you're comfortable with, but the Ravens just couldn't do a dang thing on offense. They just couldn't.
I know.
It was, yeah.
Let's take a look at these comments. We got Kegels Bagels, what's up? Pac-Man, yo, Adam.
What up?
Kegels Bagels question, what teams do you think are most likely to reach for a quarterback in the draft? We will cover that because we're getting into the draft territory. We'll cover that after we do our wrap-up of the divisional round. But we'll cover that, Kegels Bagels. She don't want me. Okay, I don't even know what that means. Is this on any other platforms? It is. It's on all platforms. Appreciate you watching all our live shows. What's up, guys? And I want Buffalo Packers Super Bowl because F. Tom Brady. Do you think Roethlisberger should retire? I think you and I could say no. So we'll move on because we're going to cover that draft question because that's a good draft question.
Yeah, it is.
But we're going to move on to the Henne-led Chiefs hold off the Browns in upset bid to reach second straight AFC title game. What were your thoughts on this game? Because to me, I think you saw it's a next man up mentality. And you saw on one hand the Ravens lost Lamar Jackson, they were done.
Yep.
And you saw on the other, Chad Henne comes in and he throws a costly interception. They could have honestly lost the game.
They could have.
But he did enough for them to not lose it.
Yeah. Well, here's also the thing. I feel like it was kind of just so close to the tail end of the game. Like, and the Chiefs, it just felt like the Chiefs had it at that point. And I felt like the Chiefs as a team, they were like, we are not letting this slip away just because, Mahomes just got hurt. And I think they just kind of rallied around him and they played tight defense, didn't let them score any other points. And, I mean, the Browns should be happy, proud of what they did. But I don't think they're a good enough team to even beat, a team without Mahomes for a quarter of a game. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, my issue with the Chiefs is that I don't think their defense really improved year to year.
No.
I think Mahomes can be beat. I think he's shown that.
Sure.
I think they play way too close. Like, again,
they
was
do
this
play
game
really
so
close games.
Close?
Well, I think you have to give some leeway just because of the injury to Mahomes, but it was close.
Like, every game is close.
And it was
except
close
for, like,
even
maybe
up until
two
then.
they had blowouts this year.
Yeah.
So, I look at this game and I think, obviously the Chiefs can win a Super Bowl. I think they can.
Yeah.
But I also think that there's a cautionary tale to be had here. You went up against the Browns, and they didn't even play the style of football they wanted to. They didn't establish the run, and they still almost beat you.
Yeah.
That's how I would look at that game.
Yep.
So, kind of looking at the Browns side, I mean, this is a pretty big year for them. This is Kevin Stefanski leads them to the divisional round, and they fall to a team that is the reigning Super Bowl champions. I don't think you can.
No shame in that.
You can't have any shame in that. I think that worked out pretty well for them, and I think it adds, to what they have, moving forward. I think they have to feel good about the future, and obviously we'll see if they can continue going. But one thing I want to point out that was really strange to me is, except for the Rams, all the defenses this year that they're good on paper, but they don't play that well on the field. And we talked about this last week.
Yeah.
They all played well. The Browns played well. The Chiefs played well. The Bills played very well. The Ravens, the Packers.
Yep. No, they all played well, man. And it was just the teams that, like, basically ran the ball better.
Yeah.
Pretty much that won.
Exactly. I know. It's still mind-blowing to me how, what was it, like, we were here. What was it? We saw. What was it? I want to say Nick Chubb had like 9 carries going into the half.
Yeah.
That can't happen.
Yep.
If you want to win that football game, you should be giving, like, by the end of the game, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt should have like 50 carries, like total.
Yeah.
Like,
I would say at least 40 together.
At least 40.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you're gonna win the football game.
Yeah.
So we move on to the last game. The Buccaneers.
But I do want wait before we
Oh.
move on. I do want to talk about, or not talk about, but I do have a point to make about Baker Mayfield. I feel like he might hold this Browns team back next year because do you think the Browns are going to re-sign? Who's up? Is it Hunt that's up? Or is it Chubb? It's Chubb, right?
I think it's Chubb.
Yeah. What do you think they do there? Because if they lose even one of those guys, that kind of dismantles everything that they built to get them to the playoffs.
I think they're a 2 running back offense.
Exactly. And like Baker, I think if they don't keep that system in check, man, he can regress. Like this team could regress next year. That's just my opinion from what I saw.
But I
from
agree
that
with
game.
you because who do they have as weapons? And it's working.
Right.
But I like Rashard Higgins, but I don't love Rashard
Jarvis
Higgins.
Landry is great.
Jarvis Landry is
but
great,
outside
but
of that,
that's what I'm saying. It's
Hooper's good, but they don't use him that much, surprisingly.
that's the weird thing.
Yeah.
They signed Hooper to a massive
I know,
deal,
they
and
really
they
don't. Yeah.
They use him as just a guy.
Yeah, but I just wanted to throw that out there because I feel like that's going to be a big question, and I want to see how they respond next year.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. And
Eventually, Baker's going to have to be the guy.
yeah,
He didn't have to be it this year, and they went to the playoffs, but eventually he's going to have to be.
they have some young pieces on that defense too that will grow up
Yeah.
over time.
Yeah.
This could be a tough team moving forward. And Stefanski, I'm really curious to see how he responds when teams start preparing and drafting in that division to stop a 2 running back. That's the thing. The 2-headed monster there. We've seen it work with D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart. We saw it work with Mendenhall and Willie Parker.
Yep.
We've
Jerome Bettis,
seen this
Willie
work.
Parker, yep.
So it works, and it's not unheard of, but no one around the league really uses it the way they use it. And no one has, because they got Kareem Hunt due to unfortunate circumstances that led to his release from the Chiefs. So, this normally doesn't happen. You normally don't get backs that are that talented in the same backfield.
And you're not paying 2 running backs, blockbuster number 1 running back deals, I don't think. Maybe they're just like, hey, it works.
Yeah, maybe we'll just.
Yeah.
There's our receiver that we paid. Let's see here. So we got some people coming in. Appreciate y'all. What do you think? Who do you think will win the Super Bowl? We'll get to that at the end of the show. We're gonna have a Super Bowl prediction. I want Bucks Bills. I want Bucks to win so Brady can prove he still owns AFC East. AO, what's up, Exile? How many years should Roethlisberger play before he retires?
1 or 2.
Yeah, I think 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I think he's getting there, and I think at some point he's just going to be like, all right, I don't love the game as much as I used to.
I think he wants to try
worth it.
Yeah, he wants to try and get one more kind of thing.
Yeah.
One more ring.
I don't mind that because, they started off 11-0.
No, I don't mind it at all.
He
was not the issue. I'll say it till I die, bro. He was not the issue.
I'm excited to see him with either a Matt Canada or if you go out. I saw Pep Hamilton is going to interview with them. I like him.
Right.
So, I'm excited to see him with an actual OC.
Me too.
What team do Landry play for before Cleveland? Miami. And can we start a GoFundMe to pay Bud Dupree? You're going to need to.
Yeah, going to need a big one, guy. It's
Those
going to take a lot
helmets
of us.
Should the Browns get rid of Odell? I think they kind of have to if they want to afford.
Yeah, he's irrelevant. And, dude, he didn't do anything this year, and they still were good and, made it to the second round of the playoffs. They don't need him.
I don't think he fits their offense.
He doesn't fit their offense
I think
at all.
he needs to be, honestly, here's where Odell Beckham should go. He should go to the Indianapolis Colts.
With who?
What do you mean? Who throwing?
Yeah, who do you
They're
want?
going to get Jared Goff.
Okay.
They have a lot of cap. I'm just telling
you. You just
Chris,
want someone to offload him too.
No.
Yes, you do.
I like the fit. I do. But we'll get into that. Okay, now is the NFL draft. We'll go back and we'll look at that question. What teams do you think are most likely to reach for a quarterback in the draft? Basically like Eagles Hurts, Packers Love from last year. I think that's a great question from Kegels Bagels because I think instantly what comes into my mind is probably the same thing that comes into your mind. You have the 2 guys that I think are going to be reached on. Kyle Trask.
Yeah.
And I saw that face.
Ugh.
Kyle Trask and Mac Jones.
Yeah. Well,
But who's going to reach on them?
I could
is the
see Mac
question.
Jones being a first rounder, to be honest.
I don't think
Like
he
a back
should
end
be,
of the.
But
Yeah.
I'm
But
I that's a reach.
But I wouldn't blame a team if they were back end of the first. They went for him. Kyle Trask, though, even as a second rounder, I'd be like, nah, dude.
He didn't show up at the end of the year.
No.
When they needed him to show up in crunch time, and I watched him throw 3 picks, and I'm not overly impressed. I think
Not at all.
I've said it. He's Trent Edwards, who played for the Bills. That's not somebody like you want to like draft in the first round. I hope he does well. I'm not like saying I hope he is terrible. I'm just saying based on my evaluations, I wouldn't draft Kyle Trask.
Yes, me neither.
So as far as teams that could reach on that, like who do you look at? Because like I don't know, the Colts, they could, but here's the thing: they have a great general manager in Chris Ballard. I don't think that they're going to do that.
They're picking what, 28?
No,
26?
No, they'll be in like the 20s, like the low 20s.
It's after the Steelers because they went or did they go further? No, they lost first round, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it'll be around that, and they do have their pick. They have a lot of cap, and they just lost Phillip Rivers. But what I will say is that they've been getting a lot of reps to Jake Eason, and he's going into the offseason thinking like he has a chance to be the starter. They've given him that option.
I think he does, yeah.
I love him.
Give him a go.
He was QB2 for me last year. I'm very high on him.
I wasn't high on him like that.
No,
I just think he has a big arm, and I understand why. Because when did they draft him? It was pretty high, right?
4th round.
4th? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Dak Prescott round.
Yeah,
but
I could see them definitely giving him a shot at least,
So then you have to look, and it's like going through the Texans, if they get really so they trade Watson away, and then I could see them getting Mac Jones. They reached on their offensive tackle.
Yep.
Who we had in like the 4th round, and he went in the 1st.
Yep.
So they've done that before, where they have reached on somebody. So I could see that. The Eagles, I don't think are going to draft another quarter. I hope they don't draft another quarterback.
No, I think they're in a good position, honestly.
Brad Holmes is the GM now for the Lions. I can tell you the Rams barely draft quarterbacks, so I wouldn't expect him to go out and get a quarterback that early. Also, they have Matthew Stafford, who I think they should just roll with for the time being.
Yep.
The Panthers, they have Teddy Bridgewater, but if they wanted to get a Mac Jones or a Kyle Trask behind him, I get it, but like not the 1st or 2nd.
Basically, what this conversation has made me realize is that there are a lot of teams that would be looking at a guy like Trey Lance, which sucks. There's a lot of teams.
And that segues into our bit, because you and I have been watching a lot of film on Trey Lance.
Yes.
And for anybody out there that has either seen any of our videos, because we both did a video on Lance, what would you say if Trey Lance went to your team? I want to see people respond. First off, I'll ask you, what would you say if Trey Lance goes to the Steelers? Say they draft Trey Lance. Would you be ready to part with Ben? Like, if it meant getting Trey Lance this year and you had to let Ben go to another team or retire, it's the only way. Would you do it?
Oh, God, dude.
It's a tough question.
That hurts.
You get him for the next 10 years. It's like...
I don't know that I could do that to Ben.
Yeah, it's loyalty, right?
It's loyalty.
I hear you.
I don't know.
Well,
that's tough,
if
bro.
you ask me that question... Bye-bye, Jared Goff.
Yeah, I mean, Goff hasn't won you a Super Bowl or two, so
no,
it's a little different.
I totally feel that. Let's see here. What do we got? We got a bunch of people now chiming in. All right. Or Hugh Jackson. Oh, yikes. The Colts should trade for Darnold or take Mac Jones, says Alexis Kraft, my co-host on the Downtown Rams podcast. So I'm not as high on Mac Jones. She loves Mac Jones.
Really?
Yeah, she loves Mac Jones. I think at some point or another, she said she wanted the Rams to grab Mac Jones.
Wow.
Yes, she's very high on him. I think the Jets should try to build up Darnold, to be honest with you. If they get Watson, that's different. But I think the Jets should try to build up Darnold, because here's the thing. Well, actually, I can't even say that, because if you can get Trey Lance, you do it, in my opinion, because I'm super, super high on him.
Right.
But for what they're doing, they hired Saleh, a defensive-minded head coach.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get the inkling that they're going to move on from Darnold. I just don't. If they got, like, say, a Nick Sirianni, or if they got, say, Somebody along those lines, like Brian Dable, maybe they move on, but I'm not seeing it as a defensive-minded head coach. I think he's going to want to focus on building that defense, and then he had just nothing but great things to say about Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
Keep in mind, he did see him. They played them earlier in the year. 49ers went to the Jets.
No, I mean, to me, it doesn't – I don't get why everyone is, like, saying the Jets are going to make a blockbuster deal for a guy like Watson, or the Jets are going to really be looking to replace Darnold because, one, like you said, the defensive-minded head coach. And then on top of that, the Jets are just awful. Like, you're not a quarterback away from fixing anything.
Yeah.
Your whole team needs help. So if you're going to trade the farm away just to bring in a guy like Trey Lance or even Deshaun Watson, like, you're setting them up to fail regardless. And I don't think Darnold's as abysmal as some people might try and say. I think if you put pieces around him, you could have success. So, yeah, I don't think they're eagerly like, oh, my God, we got to get a quarterback. That's what's wrong with us. It's a quarterback.
Exactly.
It's everything. They need a lot of help. They need as many picks as they can get.
I think they have a solid defense, like from what I've seen personnel-wise, and I think solid's going to turn them into top 15. They need to add more pieces, but I do like, what they have with Quinnen Williams. They have John Franklin Myers. They have Patrick Onwuasor. They have guys like that. Bryce Hall is somebody I really like, cornerback, 5th round out of Virginia. So they have some pieces there. On the offensive side of the ball, I like LaMichael P. Ryan. I like him a lot more than I did in the draft. The running back out of Florida. Mm-hmm. I like Sam Darnold. I love Denzel Mims. Long term, I think Mims can be a superstar. I really do.
Yeah,
second rounder out of Baylor.
He's good.
I don't know if they're gonna bring back Perriman, but he's got that speed that can really take defenses off the top. They have Crowder. And I mean, I like Chris Herndon, but he hasn't really done anything. So, I mean, I could see them going, tight end in the 2nd or 3rd round. But I don't think that this team's lost. They go out and they get Becton. Becton played very well at left tackle. You could argue if they grab Penei Sewell and they get a legit, left tackle, right tackle combo, and then they just build out, say, the interior in free agency, go out and get a guy like Ryan Jensen, who you saw when he played for Baltimore.
Yeah,
and then
good.
You saw, the other night when he's playing for Tampa Bay. The dude is a monster. Like, you want to get a guy that's a tone setter in the interior, and I think that's what they're missing.
I just think they're not a quarterback away from it. It's like, that's not going to be your biggest barometer for changing your success.
Yeah, no, they're not, because what is the definition of a quarterback away? Quarterback away from what? Making the playoffs?
Washington's a quarterback away.
Quarterback away is Washington.
Yes.
Exactly. We talked about this. Like, they have a great defense to the point where they're top 3 in the league.
They have a good running back,
they have a good
wide
offensive
receiver.
line. They're beefy up front. Yep. They probably could use another wide receiver with
they could.
McLaurin.
But they have the piece there. They have the
Gibson is awesome.
Yeah, he'll be good.
I love Antonio Gibson. So I agree with you there. And the Colts, I think the Colts could trade for Jared Goff. I think the Colts could trade for Carson Wentz. I think the Colts could trade for Jalen Hurts. I think whoever doesn't win the job with the Eagles, with that connection with Nick Sirianni leaving the Colts, who was the OC there, I think you could have that connection where one goes over to the Colts. The Colts could also just bring back Jacoby Brissett, who, by the way, is Vegas' favorite to be the starter. I don't see it. I like Jacoby Brissett, but I think if they really wanted Jacoby Brissett, they wouldn't have gotten Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
So there's options out there. Matthew Stafford trade, a Kirk Cousins trade. But what works best for a guy like, when I'm looking at, say, Frank Reich, who do you think works best for them? Because to me, I think Trey Lance works the best. He's the closest to Carson Wentz that you can go out and get.
Yeah, well,
that's not Carson Wentz.
I think Trey Lance works the best for a lot of people.
Yeah. So, let's see here. What players should Steelers player contract? Okay, I can't really understand that question. I think the Jets are going to draft the best tackle in the draft instead. I mean, that's the Penei Sewell thing, so I think that might make sense. Alexis, the Steelers took Haskins because they want to see if he can be the successor. We talked about the Haskins thing. We'll talk about it more after this, because we're talking about NFL draft right now. I don't want to get too much into it. But I do think that regardless of how you feel about Haskins, it makes no sense why the Steelers wouldn't do it. He's very, very low risk. He's going to be somebody, that signs a futures deal. Yep. So he's just going to come in and compete. And if they don't like him, then first off, they can draft somebody. They're not stuck with him. He's on a 1-year deal.
No.
And, I mean, think about it. It's going to mean a lot to Haskins if he all of a sudden plays well, and he's going to remember the Steelers are the team that took a chance on him. So if he turns it around, I don't think he's just going to bounce, man. Like, I think he would sign long term if he ends up being the guy.
Sure, but I don't think he's the guy. So I think he's just a third, maying second-string quarterback.
He could be the guy. I really do like him. But
why? What do you like about him besides
I like his big arm. I like the fact. No, I like the fact he's got good pocket presence.
No, he doesn't.
I think that when you look at
No, he doesn't.
Well, when I watched the Redskins in 2019.
Okay, well, I'm talking about recent.
Okay, I don't care about the recent because here's what I'll say.
You don't care about the recent?
They ran a prehistoric offense, straight up.
Who cares? That has nothing to do with
I honestly don't think Ron Rivera's a good coach. I think he's actually held back everywhere he's gone.
What does that have to do with his pocket presence ability?
Because what I'll say, and it goes back to what I was texting you, is that Kevin O'Connell was finding something with him. He's the OC for the Rams. He was the OC for the Redskins in 2019. In those games, you saw significant improvement and development from Dwayne Haskins. So where did that go? Well, they wouldn't retain Kevin O'Connell. So, I mean, I'm fine with it because I like Kevin O'Connell on the Rams. But when Kevin O'Connell left, I just felt like, to me, Haskins and him were building something. And to just not retain him like that on Ron Rivera's part, I mean, I just thought it was the wrong move, to be honest with you. Was not a fan of it, and, you know.
Okay, so you like his big arm, right?
I like his big arm.
This is courtesy of Steelers Depot. They did a contextualization of his deep throws in 2020. You ready for this? What his deep throws?
It's 2020 though. Like I said,
I have more stats too, but you can't just watch his 2020 season and be like, well, I liked him in 29. You have to.
I'm just telling you, there's context.
This is more valid than 2019.
I'm just telling you that there has to be context.
Yeah, I'll give you the context. Dwayne Haskins was 3 of 24 for 99 yards with 0 touchdowns and 4 interceptions on passes that traveled 20 or more yards down the field.
Yeah, I know I think it's pretty obvious that he struggled this year. But my point, and when you look at a reclamation project, you have to look, right? So what was the big deal? Like, say, go back with Sam Bradford. What was his big issue? His big issue is that he had 5 different offensive coordinators. He suffered 2 ACL tears.
I'm just telling you.
With Dwayne Haskins,
he's on my
you
team.
drafted a guy in the top 20.
Okay.
And you fired his head coach. So you fire his head coach, drafted him, and then you get another OC. So the OC comes in, they start to have chemistry, and what does Ron Rivera do? He doesn't retain him. To me, that is the problem. And this is a serious issue with the young quarterback ecosystem that I've been saying for a while. Josh Rosen was totally led astray. He gets drafted by the Cardinals. They fire his coach, Steve Wilkes. And then what happens? Oh, we're going to draft Kyler Murray, even though we just brought in Cliff Kingsbury. And Cliff Kingsbury could have made something out of Josh Rosen. Then he goes to Miami, and watch the film. Josh Rosen had 8 touchdowns that were dropped by players.
Okay.
So I just think overall, the Haskins thing brings it's a different perspective to it. It's not just Haskins I look at. I look at the young quarterback ecosystem in the NFL is broken because this is the problem. Is we draft guys in the top 20 and they don't turn into superstars. That's the NBA. That's not the NFL. It never was. You have to be able to develop these guys. And so
I'm just saying,
I saw him making strides at the end of 2019, and they disrupted what he was doing. And they got guys that, I mean, name a quarterback guru or an offensive guru on Washington right now. Like, who would help him out?
Not a lot of people have like a quarterback or.
And why do you think all the quarterbacks struggle? All of them.
I just think
Heineke's
they don't have.
The only one that looked.
I don't think they have good quarterbacks. I think that's why we have both said they're a quarterback away.
No. I agree with that, but I also think that they didn't really develop Haskins.
You said you liked him coming out.
Yeah.
So I think you like him, and you.
But
saw
he was
some
drafted
good
in
things,
2019.
and you saw some good things in 2019. So you're defending him, and that's fine.
Absolutely.
But he's on my team, and I watched enough, and I don't like him. He doesn't fit my mold of what I'm looking for. Trey Lance does. Guys like that do. So
I agree with you on Trey Lance.
There's nothing about what I've seen.
And I'm not trying to change your opinion, but what I'm saying, I'm backing up why I think that, because I do think context matters, and I do think it's a bigger issue around the league where it's like, hey, by the way, you learned this offense, you went through all this offense, well, now learn second offense. And then a third offense, and then a fourth offense. Like, you could argue Jared Goff's had all sorts of different quarterback coaches and offensive coordinators because people keep getting poached.
Sure.
I think that hurts. I think about this.
Of course it hurts.
You do all this studying. You do all this studying for, say, like, this exam, right? And then they move the goalposts, and now the exam, instead of it being on national, American history, now it's on international history. And then they change it to something else, and then it's something else. That, to me, when you do all that work to develop in a system, that, to me, ends up hurting you because you spent all that time.
Of course it does, but, dude, that's the NFL, bro. It's been
I agree with you.
And Dwayne Haskins has been abysmal on deep passes, which was, you said it yourself. One of your favorite things about him is his arm.
Yeah.
As is mine. I think it's a good arm. It's better than I give it credit for initially, but it's just not there for me, man.
But also keep in mind, I'm a fan of mobility, and he doesn't have that.
No.
So I like him as a traditional pocket passer, but you need to have an offensive line for him, and you need to give him. Because here's the thing, it's far too often a lot of these coaches know if I stick with this guy and try to develop him and he fails, I fail, and I'm going to lose my job. And that's why a lot of these coaches will go out and get a Phillip Rivers. Not saying that Reich does that, because I think Reich can develop anybody. But I think a lot of these coaches will go out and they'll get a Kirk Cousins because they can't develop young quarterbacks.
Yeah, sure.
And I think we have an issue in the league with that.
But yeah, anyways, to answer the question that was originally asked, no, Haskins is not going to do anything for the Steelers.
Wow. Harsh. Steelers should hire Doug Peterson if they don't make the playoffs. Like, as a head coach?
The Steelers should what?
Hire Doug Peterson if they don't make the playoffs.
I think he means OC. Oh, next year?
I mean, if they don't make the playoffs, but I have a hard time firing Tomlin.
Yeah, me too.
We'll get into that because we're going to talk about the coaching hires and stuff. But So we're really big fans on Trey Lance. Is there anybody else that has stood out to you when watching film? Any players that our viewers should check out?
I haven't gotten deep on like guys that are still kind of underground yet. Like right now, I'm making a video on Trevor Lawrence, but everyone knows Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. I would say Zach Thomas, the quarterback. I mentioned him at dinner yesterday. Zach Thomas, quarterback from Appalachian State. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar, and he doesn't have to be a superstar. But if he ends up in the same mold as, say, Gardner Minshew, who goes in the 6th round, ends up starting for a team as a spot starter and looks good, I wouldn't be surprised. I like his mobility. I like the fact he can improvise on the fly. I like the fact that he is strong. He can break tackles in the pocket.
Yeah.
He's got a nice arm. It's not super great, but it does enough. So that's a guy I like. And then just kind of going over, the top-heavy guys. I really, really, really like Zach Wilson. And I know the background is a little, people are worried, like, how much does he love the game?
No, I mean, yeah.
His dad owns JetBlue, what have you. But
as far as
I think Zach
looked.
Wilson can be a culture changer for a team. I think he can come in.
A culture changer?
And yes, I think he can come in and he could absolutely change the quarterback room.
I think my biggest concern is he isn't a culture changer. I have no questions about how he performs as a quarterback. I mean, he was phenomenal, dude. He was awesome.
Dude, BYU was fun to watch.
Yeah,
can we talk about that?
Him.
BYU's offense was fun to watch
for
the first time since Taysom Hill.
I know, but that's my question: is can he be a leader? And does he care enough? And that's unfair, obviously, just because his dad owns JetBlue and it's all that stupid BS that people try to make bigger things out of. He can be an amazing person, but it's still a question that I just haven't had answered yet because I haven't seen interviews. I haven't seen, or heard anything from his teammates really about him. So
I hear you.
I would want to find that out first.
And they'll do that.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of vetting. So I do have some news to break in regards to the NFL draft. It's not like, a transaction or anything. But so the NFL got this league memo about how the NFL draft process, pre-draft process will go. All teams are prohibited from timing, testing, interviewing in person, or giving medical exams to any draft prospect outside of a school's pro day or an all-star game because of ongoing concerns surrounding COVID-19 pandemic.
Sucks, dude.
League-wide ban on private workouts, facility visits, dinners, film sessions with prospects. Schools hosting pro days are allowed a minimum of 5 players classified as designated underclassmen to participate. What are your thoughts on that? Because I get it, but wow, this pre-draft process, you have to marry someone before you even date them.
Well, did it say anything about how many pre-draft visits Did you go
You
over
don't
that?
need, there's no pre-draft visits.
They're not doing that at
You
all?
can't have anybody at your facility.
Because I was going to say you should let them do more of those and just make a way better screening process, like testing prior and all that.
So now
but let them
that
do,
doesn't mean they're not going to see them though.
No, but I'm saying
Yeah.
let them do more of those just to kind of make up for, because a lot of the coaches talk to these guys at the combine without official interviews, and that helps them.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate. It just sucks, dude.
I hate it, but I get it.
No, yeah.
It's understandable, but it just sucks for these players. And think about this. Your job is on the line. For these GMs, they have to hit these picks or they're going to get fired. And it's like now
Yep.
I have to marry somebody without dating them in person. I have to basically virtually date over, Zoom.
Yeah.
I think about that. That's huge.
It is, man.
Picking
it
a
sucks.
quarterback, I mean, that's why I think you'll see more this trend. I think there's going to be fewer small school prospects that get drafted, and I think those are the guys that you're going to want to hit up in undrafted free agency. Be like, hey, you played at Delaware, or you played, North Dakota State, not Trey Lance, but you played North Dakota State and you didn't get drafted, but we really are high on you. Come on over, sign a contract. That's going to be big.
I think that that's crazy. Yeah, like the quarterback thing is concerning. You're going to draft your franchise quarterback or who you hope is your franchise quarterback over Zoom.
That's
like
what I'm saying. It's becoming that.
It matters a lot to me to meet people in person and like see the vibe they give off, how they interact, like just the air about them, and you can't get that over Zoom.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Do you know anything about the Carson Wentz Jared Goff visit with the Rams? Do you know how that worked?
Well, didn't you say that Jared Goff like blew them away as far as a person or something? Or
Well,
they really liked
not
him?
even. They brought them in at the same time.
Is that what they did?
Yeah,
No
they had
kidding.
dude. It was insane. They had brought them in at the same time. They both threw the same football, but they had so they would squirt the football with water.
Oh, I do remember.
They would
hearing
do
about
all
that.
sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, see, you can't even get that nowadays.
Yeah.
That's an amazing way of figuring out if you have the number one pick. Like if I was the Jaguars, I mean, obviously they're gonna pick Lawrence. But
Right.
I would bring in Lawrence, Lance, Fields, and Wilson and be like, you all throw the football. You all come in, same time, same visits and everything.
And see
I
how
wanna
they interact with each other too.
Exactly.
Like, are they insecure because is this guy going to steal my number one spot? Are they cool and like just confident?
That's the thing. Like, I don't want to draft a guy that clearly looks like it's like The Bachelor, and he's
Yeah.
like no,
Right.
like I want to be first pick.
Exactly,
Like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, I'm not drafting you.
Yeah,
Are
dude.
you kidding me? Like, so yeah, no, that's something I wanted to add because I think that
It matters.
That was cool, and I thought that was a good idea by the Rams, and then unfortunately now I don't think we'll get that for another few years
I know,
where you'll be
dude.
able to even do something like that.
If at all, who knows, man?
Yeah. So moving on to the NFL news, we did talk about Dwayne Haskins already. I do want to take a look at these comments here. Let's see here. Alexis, I think the Jets will stick with Darnold. I think Saleh will give him a shot. I agree with you. I like Mac Jones a lot, but he's developmental. Take him in the second. Okay, so she doesn't think he should be a first. She likes him a lot. Thinks
Okay.
he should be I think that's
fair. Yeah.
I think he's a second-round pick. I live in town near Steubenville named Hopedale, Ohio. Reached the goal. 30 minutes from Pittsburgh. That's pretty
Nice.
awesome. It's 8-2 cool. Witness of Gettysburg Address. Aaron Donald versus King Tut's pale bearer Tom Brady. That's funny. Jake is sus for Trey Lance. I love Claypool, but do you think we should have taken J.K. Dobbins instead?
No.
Well, I don't think he was even there. Was he there? Claypool was a second or third rounder.
Second.
Okay, so
I think
he might have
Dobbins was there.
Yeah, he might have been. I wouldn't know.
But he's not going to succeed behind our line as it is anyways.
That's the thing. Dobbins would have about 600 yards.
He'd have the same kind of Connor
Yeah.
production.
And Claypool's going to be like Megatron.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Just know who the real fans were when you guys blow up. Exile. Props stick with Claypool. Dobbins wouldn't have succeeded with. Yeah, I agree with you, Jake Beard. That's what I thought. I was thinking. I just know some people thought we should have taken him instead. Hot take: Tomlin should be fired 3 years ago. I disagree with that.
I disagree.
Okay, so we talked about Dwayne.
It's a hot take, though. He's right.
It is a hot take. We talked about Dwayne. Mark Ingram was cut from the Ravens. He is surprisingly allowed to sign with any team he wants to sign with. So that
Chiefs.
could be a team in the playoffs. That could be any team.
Why not
Do
Chiefs?
you think he's going to sign anywhere, first off? And where should he sign if he can?
I don't think so unless like a big injury happens this week. I mean, maybe Buffalo. But outside of that, I just don't see. I don't know. Like, do you see any team that like? Oh yeah, Mark Ingram.
Well, I mean, I think Buffalo makes the most sense
Yeah.
because we talked about last week they lost Zach Moss,
Yep.
and so they're using Jonathan Williams behind Motor Singletary, and I like Singletary a lot, but I mean they have gone with that kind of running back by committee approach all year.
Yeah, exactly.
So Mark Ingram is somebody I still think has some stuff left in the tank. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
he's
so.
1 year removed from being a 1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah.
So I mean,
You can squeeze something out of him for the next
yeah,
two,
I mean,
two
I'd
weeks.
bring him in. The Chiefs, I think, could bring him in. Le'Veon Bell's not 100% going to play. Like
Right.
it's I think he's questionable. A lot of there's a lot of questions about that running back room. I feel like they're just not very healthy right now.
But really, you'd be bringing him in for one game now at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, unless they win and then maybe the Super Bowl, But I mean, we've seen this before, just not in the same way where he was on a team and he gets cut
Yeah.
and then could sign with another team. We saw it with Valdir, but he was a practice squad player, so he was just
Yeah.
claimed. This is like he was straight up cut and now he can go somewhere. But we saw kind of the same thing with the Rams in 2018 when they signed C.J. Anderson. We saw what happened there. So maybe some resurgence.
Yeah.
Now sticking with the Rams, two things here. Rams star safety John Johnson confirms the team is moving on without him on Instagram. Now,
Yep.
He didn't necessarily say he confirms that they're moving on from him. He said the Rams fired me on my off day.
Yeah, I saw
So, what are your thoughts on, one, the way he conveyed that message, and two, the fact the Rams are moving on?
I think he was just making light of it. I don't think he was
Yeah.
actually that bitter.
I don't think he's bitter at
Yeah.
all. I think he was just having some fun with it.
Did they cut him, or they're not re-signing him and they told him that? How
Yeah,
did that
so
work?
he's a free agent, so they
Okay.
probably
So they
told
probably were
him,
just like, we're not
hey,
making an offer.
we love you, but we don't have the money to bring
Exactly.
you back. And we don't have the money that you deserve to bring you. You know how they would word that. So, yeah, I mean, I'd look at it as they have drafted 3 safeties the last 2 years in the draft.
Yep.
Jordan Fuller, Terrell Burgess, and Taylor Rapp.
Yep.
So I think they're fine. We talked about Nick Scott, although that bad play, he's been playing well. They have depth. John Johnson sucks to lose, but I'll tell you right now, going back years, Rams didn't pay Oshimego Atagwe. He left for the Washington Redskins.
Okay.
Adam Archuleta, Rodney McLeod went to the Eagles. LaMarcus Joyner fairly recently went to the Raiders. They don't pay safeties. They just don't. So I wasn't shocked.
Got you. Okay.
Moving on there, Jared Goff and Sean McVay, quote-unquote, need marriage counseling. Not on great terms per Steve Weiss of NFL Network. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know, dude. Their relationship is so weird to me as an outsider. I just don't get it. I feel like Sean's like his dad in a way. But, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. Goff was probably bitter about them going with Johnny and him having to kind of sit in the back and then wait his turn. And then, he goes out with the concussion. Now he's coming back in with a broken thumb. It's just like, it's such a weird dynamic I feel like it kind of created there. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's some tension there.
Yeah, I think.
But I think they're adults. I don't think they're like
No, I don't think he's
passive aggressive or
like
being
that.
weird. I think there's just like, so what's going on? Like, what's my job? What are we thinking?
I think for the first time in a long time, Jared Goff has been tested. And when John Wolford came in, sent them to the playoffs, and then played well enough to get another start, Goff was benched in Seattle. I want to point that out.
Yeah, he was.
Mike Silver said it. Goff was benched in Seattle. Like, everyone's like, how did they only activate 2 quarterbacks and they had Blake Bortles and Bryce Perkins inactive? I can't explain that. I have no idea why you have a guy injured and then another guy and then you don't have 3 quarterbacks active on the roster. But that's neither here nor there. My point is that he was benched, and I think either one, my theory is Sean McVay knew all along, because in preseason, the Rams do, I don't know if every team does this, but the Rams had first team versus second team, and then second team goes against first team. So John Wolford went against the first team with his second team offense and just blew coaches away. He was amazing. And we kept hearing about it, like, wow,
Yep.
he's really looking good in the scrimmages. But of course, it's scrimmage.
Right.
So he goes in a game, he shows what he can do. He's a faster mental processor than Goff, has a quicker trigger, can run, mobility's huge. And I think either Sean McVay, theory number 1, is that Sean McVay knew this all along, and he basically, he knew, but he had to wait for the opportunity. And when Goff broke his thumb, that was the opportunity. Or number 2, he didn't realize, and the glass kind of shattered in his head when, Jared Goff got hurt, and he saw John Wolford operate that same offense with a better level, I think, of, being prepared and using your mobility and improvisational skills. So I think it's one of those two, but I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the day, Sean McVay just wants a mobile quarterback now that he's had that flavor of John Wolford in that offense. Because I think you see the Green Bay game, and you can't hate on Goff because he's just not fast. That's just not who he is.
He's just limiting, man.
When he was pressured in that game by Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith, Dean Lowry, Kenny Clark, all those guys, he was done. That offensive line broke down. He was done because he wasn't going to get out of that.
Yep.
Wolford probably gets out of that. So I think Sean McVay's looking at it like also, the guy that's under me in the head coaching tree, Matt LaFleur, I'm sure he's happy for him, but knowing Sean McVay and the competitor he is, he's probably a little pissed. He's like, he probably thinks like they should be there. They should be playing on Sunday.
Probably.
This is ridiculous at this point. We should have a Super Bowl or even 2 at this point. Like, I'm sure it's going to get to him when he sees a guy that's under him in the coaching tree potentially win a Super Bowl before him. I think, and beat him, no less.
Yes.
And having the number 1 defense. I think it all just kind of comes down to that. And I think the Rams are going to make some big moves this offseason. I don't think Goff is going to start for the Rams next year. But if he does, I won't be against it. I just think, personally, I think John Wolford broke the glass, and now Sean McVay is seeing it.
Okay, cool.
So, moving on, we have people retired. So, just want to throw it out there. Vance McDonald of the Steelers, tight end, retired.
Yep.
Vikings offensive coordinator Gary Kubiak. I thought he already retired.
I didn't even realize he was the OC.
Came back. So he retired.
No way.
And then Falcons fans rejoice because offensive coordinator Dirk Cutter has retired from football.
There you go.
So moving on to the coaching
have a
news.
good career, guys. Congratulations on your millions of dollars. Hope you enjoy it well.
Yeah. You couldn't have said that better. Coaching news here. Texans interviewed Josh McCown and Jim Caldwell for head coaching gig. I could not wait to talk about this.
Josh McCown. That's the name I care about.
So what are your thoughts on Josh McCown and Jim Caldwell getting head coaching? And it sounds like they could be the favorites.
Good for them. Good for
think,
them. Josh McCown, I could definitely see being a head coach, man, and a good one.
I could too.
A good one.
I could, but I don't necessarily think it's his time yet.
No.
But the fact that he's already getting head coaching interviews
cool.
is a good sign.
Yeah. Jim Caldwell is just another guy. He's been here a while.
I think Caldwell's deserving of another shot.
Okay.
Yeah. He didn't.
I wasn't that impressed with him, really, from what I've seen. But
I mean,
I get
think
it.
when you look at the Lions,
they
haven't really been super special, and I think they made a mistake letting him go because they were like, well, we can't get over the hump in the playoffs, and then they hire Matt Patricia, and they can't even get into the playoffs. They can't even get in there. So I think they had a guy that was consistent. You look at when he took over for Tony Dungy, and he led the Colts to the Super Bowl. I don't know. I think he's a really good coach, and he got an unfair, and that happens. I think a lot of coaches in the league, get unfair vibes. I mean, look at Jack Del Rio, what he did with the Raiders, how they turned into 12-14. We're talking about Derek Carr as a franchise quarterback. Derek Carr breaks his back, and your guy from a while ago, Connor Cook, comes in, and it's like, it's like Connor Cook came in and he had to lead this team on his back, and it was like,
Oh,
so
God, that was fun times.
Yeah, so I think that there's a few coaches around the league that just don't get a fair shake. I'd say Raheem Morris, we'll talk about a little bit later, Rams defensive coordinator now. I think I'll explain that.
And then we got Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
For
what are your thoughts on Nick Sirianni? Offensive coordinator for the Colts.
It's cool.
I'm pretty hyped about it.
I'm cool with it. I like it. I like the idea.
Hire.
Yeah.
I thought it was a creative hire.
Yeah.
They didn't get it. Like, if they got Kellen Moore, I would have been like, really?
Yeah.
But Nick Sirianni, to me, I think is, like, I was watching some of his, some of his interviews and, like, mic'd up. That dude looked like a head coach.
And I liked what he did with the Colts.
Yeah.
I really think
I like that he's coming
their
from
offense was cool.
The Frank Reich coaching tree. Yeah. He's coming over to the Eagles. Yep. The Eagles made the mistake of not keeping Frank Reich. Yep. They probably should have hired him as their head coach, to be honest with you. We know that now. Hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah. But okay, so what about Matt Patricia though? Like, what is what's he doing over there? I still don't
I
get it.
literally have no idea. So
They
like,
haven't announced
Bill
the title.
Belichick was just straight up like, he's gonna have a multifaceted
That's what
head
the
coaching,
title
or
is?
coaching role.
That's so weird.
Only the Patriots. Like, it's like you have your assistant, you have your quality control, you have your OC, DC, special teams coach, and Bill Belichick's like, he's gonna be a multifaceted coach.
That's so wild.
Like, what do you mean? What describe multifaceted? Like, what does that mean?
I have no idea what that entails.
I think it's weird and it's unfair in a sense because I don't think Matt Patricia should have to start from the back of the line from failing as a head coach. I think he should just go back to defensive coordinator.
There were bad things coming out about him, though.
But I think that's also what did it. A lot of teams didn't want that.
There was a lot of negative stuff about him.
Like, there were Rams fans that wanted him to go to the Rams as defensive coordinator. Yeah. And Ashawn Robinson came out on Twitter and was like he was so happy he was gone. So, I mean, it's like you have to think about that. Like, those are those are player testimonials, and you have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And normally players don't just out coaches like that. Really, just Freddie Kitchens and I saw Matt Patricia, and I think a few Chip Kelly's another one.
Yeah. And then Brandon Staley, we've talked about him before.
Yeah. I think obviously I'm not happy that Brandon Staley, the number one defense in the league, loses their defensive coordinator. But what I will say is that, like, anybody that's dogging him, first off, if you're saying that he gave up the game, if he mailed in the game against the Packers because he already had a job, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. I have to call BS on that.
Nah, you're competitive. You're not trying to lose games.
Brandon Staley was the best hire, I thought, because of where the fit was and how he translates. First off, he's getting a defense that's going to have the same kind of combo. Granted, you don't have Aaron Donald, but you have to work with me here. You have Derwin James, who missed all of last year, and you have Joey Bosa. So I think those two are about to have a monster seasons next year in Brandon Staley's defense. And they have guys like Kazir White that I do like. They have, Melvin Ingram. And they did get Jerry Tillery first round. So I think that this defense is going to be very, very good. Top 5 even. But here's the thing. Brandon Staley is not only getting a great defense, he's getting a great quarterback that we like in Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I like him.
And so,
but he's a young quarterback, so how's that going to work out?
But I think it's going to work out fine. Yeah. They should have won a lot of the games that they lost. They were like, and this has been a common theme with the Chargers. No matter who the coach is, it seems like they lose in the final seconds.
Well,
Brandon Staley is going to change this team.
Justin Herbert, though, god dang, remember his deep balls we would just see every weekend?
Where like
every weekend
he didn't even step into his throw, just all arm and thing just goes.
The most beautiful deep ball I've ever seen. I think, honestly, I swear to God.
So, yeah, I'm feeling good about that hire if I'm a Chargers fan. They also they pegged Joe Barry.
Where's he from?
He's from the Rams.
Okay.
They bring Joe Barry over from the Rams. He was the linebackers coach and the head coach.
They brought the DC and the.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
That's funny.
Well,
makes sense.
Bill Belichick's rule of law. It's like
you want that continuity.
Congrats on your head coaching job.
Yeah.
Stay away from my coaches.
Yeah.
Don't take my guys. Sean McVay actually did block him from taking, as we mentioned earlier, Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
He wanted Kevin O'Connell to be the OC. Imagine what he could have done with Herbert. I think that would have been pretty cool.
That would have been cool.
But Sean McVay clearly has plans for him, so he blocked it.
And then the Rams hired Raheem Morris, who you love.
And
or you're a fan of.
Yes. Yep. Well, first off, going back to the whole coaches don't get enough credit and got a unfair shake of it. So many people may not know this. Raheem Morris coached the Buccaneers, which you probably know. Went 3-13, turned that team around to 10-6. That is the best turnaround in franchise history. And then the next year they had all sorts of injuries and they fired him, going 4-12. Now, the reason I say he didn't get a fair shake is because in that 10-6 season, they outplayed what anybody would have expected. And how do I know this? Because since the merger, no team has won 10 games with 10 or more rookies starting. To me, that's Raheem Morris. To me, that's his coaching staff that he put in place. But I like that he's worked with Sean McVay 3 times now, because he's going to work with the Rams. He worked with him with Washington, and he worked with him with Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Now, Raheem Morris goes to the Falcons, and what I love about this is a lot of people don't realize Brandon Staley has experience as a quarterback. He was a quarterback. He has offensive experience, adding to the defensive coordinator position. Now he's the head coach. He sees the field on all sides. Well, Raheem Morris, he had a cup of coffee with it, But in 2019, he was the passing game coordinator for the Falcons and the receivers coach.
Yep.
Then he takes over after Dan Quinn gets fired for the first 5 games. They're 0-5. They go 4-7 the rest of the way. I'm not saying they're super great or anything like that, but
No,
I
it's
was
not.
impressed the way this team rallied around Raheem Morris.
Okay, so you like him. That's good.
I do like him. Brings the Tampa 2 defense from Tampa, and he brings the cover 3 that the Legion of Boom used in Seattle. So I think
Gotcha.
it's going to be interesting. They'll probably be a 4-3 personnel, but they're going to play a lot of multiple and a lot of nickel.
Okay. All right, so then we got, let's just run through. This is a long list you put together. So rapid fire, we got Dan Campbell.
I love Dan Campbell.
Why do you love him, real quick?
Because, like we've been talking about, you don't need an offensive guru, despite what people are saying. You don't need an offensive or defensive guru. You have John Harbaugh over in Baltimore, who was a special teams coordinator. You have Mike Tomlin, who's just straight up, he's like you said, he's not an X's and O's guy. He's just a leader of men.
He's a leader of men.
He knows how to manage
That's
a
what
game.
you should have said. He's a leader of men.
He's a leader of men.
I feel like that wraps up, it just sells his personality really well. That's what you want.
And you guys, if you haven't already, check out, for the love of God, check out Dan Campbell's presser. Oh my God, he wants to tear
That's what
kneecaps.
sold me on him.
He wants to eat kneecaps.
Yeah.
Or he's like,
he's wild.
bite off another kneecap.
Yeah, he's like, we're gonna embody the city of Detroit, and I mean, he's
I
a
love
real
him.
one. Yeah.
I think he's going to do well. I hope he does well. He's a guy. He's easily, and actually, I'll say this: he brought in Aaron Glenn, who was the defensive backs coach, was getting interviews for head coach. Very interesting hiring there. He brought in Aaron Glenn from the Saints because he's from the Saints, and he's going to be their defensive coordinator. I think that's a huge move for Aaron Glenn, who's a former player. You probably heard of him. He played pretty recently. And I think it's a huge move for Dan Campbell. And he's got a great GM who came over from the Rams. He was the director of college scouting in Brad Holmes. Don't be surprised if the Lions make some noise next year. I'm just saying.
Okay, and then we got Arthur Smith, hired as Falcons head coach.
So we talked about that last week. Smith got the contract and sent to him, and he had to accept it or not. He chose to obviously accept it.
What do you think?
I like the hire.
I don't know what the Falcons are doing though. I just don't get them as a team, man.
Well, I mean, the Falcons, first off, they had a guy in Raheem Morris that they could have hired.
Right.
He was their interim head coach.
Yeah, if I'm a Falcons fan, I'm just like, where's my team going right now? But
I think a lot of them like Arthur Smith, but I think here's the thing. Do you go out and are they going to get a Trey Lance? Are they going to get Justin Fields? Are they going to get Zach Wilson? Or are they going to stick with Matt Ryan? To me,
I say you get someone.
I think you have to get somebody because I saw significant, I saw significant regression with Matt Ryan. I did.
Yeah, I think he's just a guy at this point in his career.
Well, I think 2019, I saw him get hit super hard that year, and I just felt like he probably lost 2 or 3 years off his career, to be honest with you.
It's a lot of hits.
He got hit a lot,
And
and he
then-
took some brutal hits. He actually missed some games. So,
I don't know. To me, I haven't watched a Matt Ryan game in a long time. I've been like, man, he's just slinging it. He hasn't been Matty Ice
yeah.
in a long time.
No, I hear you.
And then Bill O'Brien was hired as Alabama's OC. Like, okay, cool, fine.
Can he
whatever.
come back to the NFL? That's the question.
As a head coach?
Yeah. Is he done? I think he's done.
I think he's done as a head coach for sure. Dude, he dismantled the Texans. He ruined the Texans. Like, I've never seen anything like what he did to them. How are you ever going to justify as an NFL franchise being like, hey, fans, guess who your new head coach is?
Oh,
Bill
all right.
O'Brien.
Well, when you put it that way.
Yeah.
And then the Jaguars, they hired Darrell Bevel as their OC, which I know you think like Trevor Lawrence is like this great prospect and everything, but I do
he's
think
phenomenal.
you need a coordinator.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think Darrell Bevel is probably the worst coordinator
gotta have help.
to have there.
Wow.
And
We'll see.
Trent Baalke, I have to talk about this, okay? Trent Baalke was the GM with the 49ers that has been connected to their dismantling of the roster with Jim Harbaugh, with the Colin Kaepernick saga.
Yeah.
Trent Baalke was, from what I heard, was like toxic. And then the Jaguars are like, yeah, he's the interim GM. We're going to hire him as our GM. I thought it was a horrible hire.
It is a weird combination, it feels like.
I don't know. It seems like it's like Urban
then
Meyer's going to
Urban
be
Meyer.
more like old school, like Dude,
It's a weird crop of guys they brought in.
that's the thing. Like maybe just give
but I'm
Trevor
hoping
Lawrence
for the
over
best
to the
because if
Falcons.
they ruin Trevor Lawrence,
Just give Trevor Lawrence over to the Falcons.
they already ruined one long-haired blonde guy. What was it? Blaine Gabbert.
Well, Blaine Gabbert.
No, he was never great, but
But
that was the last time they had a guy with some nice flowing locks at quarterback.
it's
So
true.
hopefully it doesn't revisit that era.
Yeah, no, I feel for Jaguars fans because I gotta tell you,
Hey, you're excited either way, bro. You're about to get Trevor Lawrence.
I know, but I really just don't like that coaching staff. I don't think Urban Meyer's proven that he can be an NFL coach.
Well, we'll see.
I mean, he gets his opportunity. That's fair.
Yeah,
But
I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what happens.
And then I don't like the Darryl Bevel hire, and for the love of God, Trent Baalke's one of the worst GMs in the league.
All
So
right. There you have it.
You know.
All right, you want to jump to the playoff games now? Because it's 112.
Yeah,
We're going for over an hour.
We'll jump into that. I'll just list the names real quick.
Okay, yeah. Go through.
So for you guys that may or may not want to fire your coach next year, I know it's kind of brutal to say that. 2022, it's another year. There are candidates. I've cooked up a list here. Real quick, I'll run through it. Eric Bieniemy, assuming he doesn't get a job with the Texans, offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. Brian Dable, Bills offensive coordinator. Leslie Frazier, Bills defensive coordinator. Joe Barry, Carolina Panthers OC. Matt Eberflus, Colts defensive coordinator. Byron Leftwich, Tampa Bay's offensive coordinator. Todd Bowles, Tampa Bay's defensive coordinator. Wink Martindale, Ravens defensive coordinator. Dennis Allen, Saints defensive coordinator. Deuce Staley, assistant head coach and running backs coach for the Eagles. Nathaniel Hackett, offensive coordinator for the Packers. Josh McDaniels, OC for the Patriots. Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. Aubrey Pleasant, cornerbacks coach for the Los Angeles Rams. Kevin O'Connell, OC for the Los Angeles Rams. Aaron Glenn, new defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. Patrick Graham, defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. Mike LaFleur, offensive coordinator for the New York Jets, excuse me. And then two college coaches to always keep in mind, Pat Fitzgerald from Northwestern and Matt Campbell from Iowa State. So,
damn, bro.
I do a lot of research. So those are your 2022 coaching candidates. There'll be more. I probably missed some, but we'll see. Divisional playoff round, though. We're talking playoffs now. So
yes,
we'll start 3:05 p.m. Eastern time.
Yep.
Bucks at Packers. Packers are having a line of – they're given 3.5 points. They're 3.5-point favorites. The over-under is 52. This is a team, they already played the Bucks. And in Tampa, they lost 38-10.
Yeah.
Not really what you would expect from a 13-3 football team. On top of that, Rodgers went 16 of 35, 160 yards, and 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
So they had his number. Antonio Brown is now out with a knee injury.
That's big.
That's huge.
Because he's been on fire for them.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And then they're getting their nose tackle back right in time after the way the Packers ran all over the Rams.
Yeah.
They're getting back Vita Vea, who I remember you liking a lot in the draft.
I did. Yeah.
He's activated off IR.
Good for him.
So
Good.
he'll be in this game. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. I know the Bucks are going to be losing Antonio Brown, but man, they've just looked different. The questions I had about them midseason, even towards the end of going into the playoffs, I just haven't seen pop up. They just look great, which sucks to say because the idea of Antonio Brown being such an a-hole to the Steelers and then making it to the Super Bowl is just painful.
He's already on his 4th team. That happened quickly.
I know, but I really like the Bucks. And I said, at the beginning of the playoffs, I was like, hey, they're my dark horse for the Super Bowl.
You did say that.
So I know.
You did say that.
I know I missed on some other things we won't talk about. Just talk about my wins. But I love the Bucks, man. I really do. And I think if I'm picking a team, I'm really looking at the Bucks right now, and I'm liking them a lot.
Well, I think the Bucks deserve a lot of credit.
Yeah.
But I also think that they were a very, very well-built roster, going into
Oh, yeah.
it, And so when I look at, say, their defense, now they have Vita Vea in there, William Golston, Ndamukong Suh, who always gives Aaron Rodgers fits, even from his days with the Lions. Jason Pierre-Paul, Devin White, Levante David, Shaquille Barrett.
That's a good.
That's a really good front.
Yeah.
And then you have in the back end, you have Carlton Davis, You have
who's
Jamel
been
Dean,
great.
your
Yep.
boy Ross
Jamel Dean.
Cockrell.
Yeah, we'll get him too.
Cockroach. Jordan Whitehead is very underrated. We have to talk about him. He's been such a stud in the back end out of Pittsburgh. He was a 4th-round pick in 2018. I think he was like my number 1 safety that year. And then Antoine Winfield, who is questionable, who's huge. Antoine Winfield Jr.
Yep.
They also have Sean Murphy Bunting and Mike Edwards.
That's just a good defense, man. You got a mix of veteran guys who still have some left in the tank. You have a mix of really young, talented, athletic guys. I mean, that's a good defense.
And I mentioned him, Coach Todd Bowles.
Yeah.
He's just a great defensive mind. When people are like, why would the Jets hire him? I'm like, bro, I wanted the Rams to hire him when they hired Jeff Fisher.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. So we'll see if he gets another head coaching gig. But this is it's a good roster, don't get me wrong, but I think he's doing a good job of putting guys in position to succeed. Yeah. I would also have to mention that they have Kevin Minter as well, who comes over from Arizona. Todd Bowles coached him. And then Deion Buchanan, who they just signed. I don't know how his role will be or whatever, but they just signed him this week.
Okay.
So I think that's interesting. Kind of a hybrid safety linebacker.
Yeah, pretty much.
So as far as the offense goes, though,
I mean,
it wasn't really the Brady show against the Packers.
No.
He's had games where he's thrown for 5 touchdowns this year. This was not one of those games. It was the Ronald Jones is going to run down your throat show. It was the defense is going to score touchdown show. And like I said, Aaron Rodgers had 2 interceptions. How many did he throw all year? Like 6. So he had 2 of them against the Bucs. But here's something interesting. This year, the Bucs went against the Saints twice. They looked awful both times.
Right.
When it mattered most, Bucs beat them.
Right. So you think that reverses, but for the Packers?
I'm thinking there is a reverse here. And here's very interesting about
I don't.
Here's interesting about the Championship Sunday.
Yeah.
There are 2 reverses.
Okay.
Because the Bills are playing the Chiefs, and the Chiefs beat them earlier in the year.
Yep.
And then Tampa Bay destroyed the Packers earlier in the year.
It always sucks playing a team twice, especially in the playoffs.
You never want to play them if you beat them.
Yeah, because you're just like, oh boy, they have energy. They're going to want to prove they're different now.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I just think the Bucs look so good. I'm not that worried about it.
But on the flip side, we have Green Bay. And the way they've been playing lately, my biggest concern about Green Bay was coming off the bye. Are they going to be rusty? Because we've seen that before. A team has a week off and it's like they come out flat and then they get from behind early and then it's hard for them to make up ground. But, I mean, they looked really, really good against the Rams. First off,
they did.
The offense can run the football. Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, A.J. Dillon, that's a 1-2-3 punch. You have Aaron Rodgers, excuse me. You have Aaron Donald. No, Aaron Rodgers, who I think, like I said, is the GOAT. You have Tom Brady, who everyone calls the GOAT. But Aaron Rodgers is getting some pretty big production out of his receivers. First off, we'll look at Allen Lazard. He had a game against the Rams. Now, he dropped that pass, but he came back later on. Aaron Rodgers threw it to him, iced the game. Devontae Adams. One thing I'll say is looking at this Bucs secondary, they play well, but also when they're tested, you can throw on them. And Rodgers will throw on them if they have to. Here's what I expect, though. Tampa Bay was unbelievable at stopping the run this year. So Matt LaFleur is going to put in feelers early on. He's going to try doing the same thing against the Rams, trying to run the ball early on, establish the run with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams and A.J. Dillon. If they can do that, if they pass that checklist, then they could just use Rodgers as a complementary piece and then a bailout method. Because if you establish the run with this run, I mean, the fact that you have 3 guys that can start in this league, there's no worry. And you have a guy like Aaron Jones, who's one of the best running backs. You have Jamal Williams, who I honestly think he'd be a pretty good running back for the Steelers. I know one of your fans mentioned it on your live stream. If he were to leave, A.J. Dillon, 2nd-round pick, it's built like Steven Jackson.
Oh my God, he's so big.
To me, I feel like that power run game, if they can get that going in this one, it's going to be a long day for Tampa Bay.
You don't think you don't think the Packers' best route is just going shootout mode with Brady and Rodgers?
I think they can.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The Packers showed you against the Rams they can win anyway. They can win with their defense. They can win with their running game. They can run with their passing game. But I
I
think
would.
they ultimately want to play complementary football.
Yeah, no, of course you always do. But if it got to a shootout mode, I might take the Packers over the Bucks
Oh, I would.
because you're losing Antonio Brown, and you said Winfield's questionable.
He's quite.
Not
He'll
tech. Not
probably
he'll
play.
probably play then.
Yeah, he'll
Yeah,
probably play.
but
Doubtful is when you're like.
still, you're dinged
yeah.
up in that area of your team that
Yeah.
supports that defense, and then the offense. I mean, I would take if it got to shootout, I would probably take the Packers.
One thing I'll say, we were also talking about left tackle, and going into that Rams game, and we had Jared Valdir. He was going to fill in the guy that they just claimed off waivers.
Mm-hmm.
He gets COVID, so we're like, who's going to be left tackle? They kicked Rick Wagner in at left tackle, who was the backup right tackle. Sorry, they kicked him in at right tackle. They moved Billy Turner, who was playing right tackle, over to left tackle.
Yep.
Billy Turner was very good. Very good.
Yeah.
And the Rams didn't really get pressure on Rodgers. So I think Billy Turner can do it again. I think this offensive line, worked really well as a collective unit. And I wouldn't be surprised if they, all of a sudden they get the most of Tampa. And I think the defense, the way they've been playing with guys like Kenny Clark, Dean Lowry, you have Rashawn Gary, who's a guy that they really like. Obviously, first round talent in 2019.
I liked
He's
him
really
a lot.
starting to show up.
I liked him a lot.
And then you have Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, Christian Kirksey. I thought Chris Barnes played pretty solid. Would have had a pick if he didn't have like an oven mitt on his hand.
Yep.
And then
Your boy.
yeah, and then Jair Alexander, who
Yep.
I think is obvious. I think Jalen Ramsey's the best corner. I think Jair is number 2.
You think he'll? Yeah.
So I think he can shut down a Mike Evans, or he can shut down a Chris Godwin. And then you look at, obviously they have Kevin King, they have Josh Jackson, they have Adrian Amos, they have Chandon Sullivan and Darnell Savage. So I look at this Packers team and I think they're ready to win a Super Bowl. I think it's they got there last year. They had the taste of what it was like to be, but remember how that ended? It was a 4-touchdown performance from Tevin Coleman to go to the Super Bowl. They cannot beat the 49ers in the playoffs. I don't know why. They just can't. This is not the 49ers. They go back to the NFC title game. I think the Packers are going to win.
Okay. I don't.
So let's get into the score.
Yeah.
What's your score?
What's the over/under on this?
It was like
52.
52.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be as crazy scoring as people think when you think Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I'll say like 21, 24, close game, but I don't know, man. The Bucks keep every question that I had about the Bucks, they just every week they check one of those boxes, and they keep rounding out what they do really well. Their defense is consistent. I guess if the Packers ran the football, obviously like last week, then
they did have that late bye week, and I think that helped the Bucks.
I don't know. I'm gonna go Bucks though. I think the Bucks squeak this one out.
So I'm gonna go Packers, and this is a trend here. We keep disagreeing.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Packers here, and for the reason I do think that at the end of the day, I think the Packers are playing the best football. And I think anybody that was questioning that, look at what they did against that number one defense.
Yeah.
Even with Donald hurt,
It's still a good defense.
it's a good defense,
Yeah.
and people were saying this defense is quote unquote trash. They went up against the number one offense in football. So we had the number one offense. This defense is playing better. Mike Pettine's defense is starting to look good.
Yeah.
They're getting pressure. The offensive line isn't really a question for me because the way Billy Turner filled in against like legit pass rush, and he came in and closed the door. Rick Wagner looked good at right tackle. And that run game I think changed everything. That was like Baltimore Ravens-esque.
It was ridiculous what they did.
It was really good.
It was crazy.
And they did a lot of crazy stuff where, like I said, they had the two men in the shotgun. So they had split back in the shotgun with Rodgers.
So you think they win this game similar to how they won last week?
I
so
think
like
that's how they want to play their game.
A good run game.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers isn't making crazy plays. He's just getting the ball where it needs to be when they ask him to get it there.
Aaron Rodgers more dangerous when he's the best quarterback in the league? So it's like, is he more dangerous when you use him when you have to, and then you just if you can win other ways.
Oh, well, of course, yeah.
You can just
if he
pull him
doesn't
out
have to
and
take
it's like,
over,
oh, okay, so he has to take over now.
that's
He can
always
do
the
it.
situation you want. Yeah.
But
Okay.
I think too often, I don't think teams do that. That's why I think Matt LaFleur, who's basically running Sean McVay's 2018 offense with more wrinkles, and Aaron Rodgers, I think that they're ready. They're primed. So
Okay.
I have 34-24 Packers.
Okay.
I think that they're going to obviously. I think the defense is going to give up some. I don't think that they're going to be super shut down. I don't think that's their game.
It's also tough. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going up a
I think the
really
defense
good
is solid
offense. Yeah.
and will put pressure on Brady. I think they'll force Brady into a turnover or two. I do.
I could see him. Yeah, I could see him getting a turnover
Because
here.
here's the thing I want to point out. In the Saints-Bucks game, when I went back and watched that, the Saints had every opportunity to win that game. What it came down to is Tom Brady wasn't in position to really turn the ball over. He wasn't forced to win the game. They got 2 defensive stops. They forced 3 turnovers on Drew Brees. The touchdown they gave up was from Jameis Winston. So, I don't know. To me, I kind of look at it like this could go either way, and I wouldn't be shocked if the Bucks win. But I think the better team is Green Bay. And really, I think we just we didn't really give them the credit they deserved, and they came out last week, and they're like, oh, you think that the 6-seeded Rams are going to beat us? Well, and then they just punched them right in the mouth.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question the Packers are a really good team right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
no doubt.
I also like that they already were there last year. I do think that's extra motivation for somebody like, LaFleur. His first year they go to the NFC title game.
I know, come on.
I think he's ready. I think he's a great coach.
He clearly is a great coach, yeah.
To go back to that point that I was saying.
Oh, and they have Jordan Love just chilling.
Oh, I know.
Who's also a great talent that's just young.
Yeah.
Next quarterback comes right in. Matt LaFleur gets to have him too.
That's their thing.
Yeah, freaking Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, potentially Jordan Love were your 3 quarterbacks for your franchise. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
That's the way to do it, by the way. That's how you should do it.
There's 2 things I want to mention. So hats off to Matt LaFleur because he did the mature thing. And instead of being like, I need to get my defensive coordinator, I need to get my own defensive coordinator, he decided, no, you know what? I don't need to get my own defense coordinator. I like what's here. I'm going to keep what's here. I'm going to keep what's working. And that's when he kept Mike Pettin. My point earlier with Dwayne Haskins is that you have a veteran coach in Ron Rivera that was like, I need my guy. And so he didn't keep Kevin O'Connell. And I think you can see, if they got rid of Pettin, I think there would have been, you would have had to change a little bit of the defense. Yeah. Probably a new scheme and all that. But that's what I mean is, I don't think they would have been 13-3 if they got a new defense coordinator and installed a whole new system.
Well, no, of course
So I think that maturity factor, I think, was very important there for Matt LaFleur, is why they're in this position today. Also because they have Rodgers.
Exactly.
And then number 2, rest in peace to I didn't mean to freak you out there, but Ted Thompson passed away. He was the GM. He drafted Rodgers. I believe his last pick was Aaron Jones. I want to say.
Okay. How old is he?
He's in his 60s, man.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, it's really upsetting. So they have another thing to play for. We saw the Lakers won it for Kobe. Do the Packers win it for Ted?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it'd be cool. It'd be a cool story.
It'd be a really cool story. It would. So I didn't mean to totally dim the mood, but I had to point it out,
Yeah, man, that's a narrative that matters for sure.
Ted's a well-respected guy in that organization, and he was the GM for a while. So. Yeah. Moving on to the final game of Championship Sunday.
Yeah.
6:40. We had the Bills at the Chiefs. This game was played earlier in the year. It was a 26-17 road win. The Chiefs went to Buffalo and they won. Mm-hmm. This time it's going to be in Kansas City. The over-under is 54, so 2 points higher, and that makes sense, I think. The Chiefs are 3-point favorites, and Josh Allen, they held him to 14 of 27 for 122 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. The last time they played in Buffalo, it was a bizarre game. Josh Allen was the leading rusher at 47 yards, and he only threw 122.
Do Chiefs have fans right now?
Yeah, they do.
How many? A lot?
I think it's the same thing as Green Bay.
Yeah,
it's around the 6 to 9, I would say. You're going back to that Josh Allen narrative we talked about week 1
in Chiefs Kingdom.
I love it.
Yeah, something to consider, man. The lights are going to be real bright.
And then, despite what many Buffalo Bills fans were hoping, Mahomes is going to play.
Yeah,
That was never a debate.
Yeah.
I mean, Colin Cowherd should have come out and said, if Patrick Mahomes
Oh my God.
can't play,
That was the stupidest take. Wait, we have to talk about that.
That's a great point.
Because
Let's
that
talk
is
about
the
it.
stupidest take
How
I've
are
ever
you going
heard.
to say if Patrick Mahomes can't play, the NFL needs to postpone the game? What?
Dude, that's
what?
I could make a whole Adam Steele video on that
You probably
about how
should.
ridiculous that is.
That's
like
the most
that's like
asinine thing
okay.
ever.
Should we have paused the 2019 season for Ben Roethlisberger's elbow injury? Should we, pause it? We just put in random bye weeks.
I mean, it would help the viewership, right?
Antonio Brown is out and he's been on fire. He's been carrying that passing offense. I think the Bucs should have a week to wait for his knee to get better. I mean, based on what Colin Cowherd was saying, it makes no sense.
I want to play John Wolford, so we're gonna
exactly.
move, what? You
it
can't
makes
move
zero
the
sense.
goalposts.
Yeah.
What are you doing? It's like
sense,
if Chad Henne went, it's not fair. It's like, what do you mean it's not fair?
It's funny, and I get the idea. Like his narrative was, well, it's Mahomes, a lot of people's consensus #1 quarterback in the league. It's against Josh Allen. You want that headline, that story.
He just wants Mahomes versus Brady.
Yeah, so I get it.
I know him.
I get the hype, but it's like, dude, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Imagine. It's like, guys, everything's on hold. We gotta stop. We can't move forward.
I have no words.
He's hilarious.
It's like Colin Cowherd is like, he has some of the awesome, like some great things to say.
Oh, absolutely.
And then he has some things where you're like,
you stop in your tracks. You're like, he did not.
Yeah.
You said that?
Like, the Browns lost on Saturday because Baker Mayfield is a backwards hat guy. Like, what? Like that? You're gonna say that? That's your argument? It's like, I don't know.
So yeah, Colin, that's gonna be a negative, but we don't have to worry about it because Mahomes is playing. So.
Yes. So this game will be interesting. I do think we talked about Buffalo being a paper tiger of their defense. Well, they're a tiger now. They're not on paper anymore. This defense played very well against Baltimore. In Baltimore, they weren't able to run the football the way they've run all year.
Yeah.
And I told you, Baltimore's the scariest team because I felt like they were getting to their level of football where they could beat anybody. And Buffalo Bills said, you know what? You're in our house.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Well, I didn't think that.
I know you didn't, but I did.
No, I know. Had to tease you on that.
No, I know. But, no, I mean, let's talk a little. Let's start with the Bills. What do you like about them? Let's break them down a little bit. Sean McDermott's team.
What do I like about Buffalo right now?
Yeah.
Everything.
I mean, I just think everything's going well. I mean,
everything's good for them.
When I said before the playoffs, I think week 16, I said I think Green Bay and Buffalo are going to meet in the Super Bowl. I've since changed that, but that's how it looked. Is that they looked like the two best teams.
Wait, so you're thinking you just kind of gave it away? You think Chiefs are going to win?
Oh, I haven't given anything away yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because you said, okay. All
no,
right,
that's what I said week 16. I could change it.
Got you.
But I look at this defense: Jerry Hughes, Vernon Butler, Ed Oliver, Mario Addison, Matt Milano, Tremaine Edmonds. You and I loved him in the draft, by the way. Loved him. Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White, Micah Hyde, Levi Wallace, Taron Johnson. Like,
I mean, there's nothing not to like.
This like I said, they're a paper tiger. Like, they have all this talent, and they're not living up to it.
Yeah.
But they stopped the run, which we said they were 26 in the league in stopping the run. They stopped the run last week against a team that ran for 380 yards in a game.
Yeah.
And they have a defense that, look, I mean, Tre'Davious White is a terror. I don't want to throw anywhere near him.
I know.
Jordan Poyer, they have playmakers. Poyer's going to go up there and pick the ball off. Micah Hyde's going to go up there and pick the ball off.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this is not a good matchup for Kansas
I don't think it's a good matchup for Kansas City at all, to be honest with you.
It's really bad, and especially because their running back situation is a big fat question mark, which is something, I'll say it again, I say it every time, you need that in the playoffs, especially against a team that if you're playing close football against, they're going to find a way to win. They've been finding ways to win. I mean, it's not good. I really don't like this game for Kansas City, to be honest.
It's January football, and you don't know what you're doing with the running game.
That's a problem. And Mahomes is phenomenal and great, and you have Tyreek Hill and Kelsey. So those are gonna, they're gonna have to win them this game. That's the only way. They have to win. They have to carry this game.
Exactly. And now another thing I'll say, I think it goes back to what I've been saying with Kansas City. They don't win games convincingly.
I know.
So now,
And now
you
you
can
can't
do
even-
that with the Raiders.
Yeah.
You can do that with the
Not
Broncos.
the Bills.
You can't do that with the Bills.
You could, but it's
You
a toss
you
up.
can hope
It's
Josh
a
Allen
toss-up,
runs back 20 yards, he gets sacked, and then they
Right.
go out of field goal range. But you don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah. So
So yeah, I mean that one, the Colts had that where they had an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, if it came down to it, I think the Colts could beat the Chiefs if they kept it really close.
Yeah.
I think every team in this playoff race could beat the Chiefs if they kept it really close, except for maybe Washington,
yeah, I think it's gonna be a close game. I really do.
which is not good for the Chiefs.
Probably not. No,
I think the Chiefs really, need to just take over at the
they
beginning.
do. It's got to be the Hill
How many field goals did they settle for
Kelsey
against the
Mahomes
Browns?
show. A lot. I don't know.
They kicked 4.
Yeah.
5. I don't know. I like they, it's ridiculous. But yeah, I agree with you. Again, the defense, and I didn't mention AJ Epinesa and Quentin Jefferson.
Yeah.
They're a monster on the defense. The offense, Bills. Obviously you have Josh Allen, who is one of the best quarterbacks in football right now. Singletary. TJ Yeldon's actually the backup. Jonathan Williams is on their practice squad, who they've been playing a little bit, and they have Tywan Jones, who I'm not the biggest fan of. John Brown, Stephon Diggs,
Yep.
Cole Beasley. So they have 2 All-Pros. I had to say it.
Yeah. Right.
Gabriel Davis is questionable. He's looked really good, 4th rounder. Deion Dawkins, Super Bowl, and I think they could win. But they obviously have to get through this game. When you look at the Chiefs, it's like, are they going to be able to stop Tyreek Hill? Are they going to be able to stop Kelsey?
Yeah, that's the
Because
question mark.
if they stop those two, I don't
What
know
else
how
do they
there's
got?
any way the Chiefs win.
Yeah. No. I mean, because they don't have a running game.
Yeah,
So-
I don't, And I like their running backs, to be honest with you. It's just, I think the problem is the Chiefs won't commit to one guy, even if, say, Le'Veon Bell is, going to start. They use Darrell Williams.
No, they
and I
get
thought Darrell
weird.
Williams ran well, but
Their running game is just
they're
there's no identity
they're not
to it.
committed.
Yeah.
They're not committed to the run, and they can't stop the run. Also,
Right.
this defense, just like the Bills, have a hard time stopping the run. So, you look at this defense, Tano Passino, Chris Jones is awesome, Derek Nottie,
Yep.
Frank Clark, and then you have guys like Anthony Hitchens, Damian Wilson, Willie Gay is going to be out, their 2nd-round linebacker.
Okay.
So that's something to mention. Corners, Charvarius Ward, L'Jarius Sneed, Rashad Perriman, Rashad Fenton, and then, you have the safeties, Daniel Sorensen, Juan Thornhill, Armani Watts, and, of course, Tyrann Mathieu. I think this is a defense that has some names on it, but overall, you look at the defense, and they're where they are, top 15 in the league. They're not top 10. They're not top 5. And so I think Josh Allen can throw on this defense. I really do.
Well, yeah, him and Diggs are great together.
I think
What a
that
great
game
move
was
for
an
them.
anomaly in Buffalo. I just think it was a weird game. It was a primetime game, I believe, and it was just a weird game. And I think it'll be different in Kansas City. I actually, I'll be impressed with the way the Bills play on the road. I gotta tell you, I think they're gonna play better on the road than they did at home.
Okay.
So
All right.
we'll see where I go with this. But where are you going?
Oh God, it's so tough.
I think
This
this
might
is
be
the
my
toughest
toughest
pick
pick.
of the entire
Yeah.
weekend. To
Yeah.
be honest with you.
Well, it's only one other pick, but
Well, no, I know, but then you have Rodgers and Brady.
I was gonna say of the playoffs so far for me,
Oh yeah, it could be.
I really this is just
I
tough,
felt
man.
that way with the Rams and Packers, but I was wrong.
I think I'm gonna have to say, and I'm probably going with my heart a little bit on this one, but the Bills win it. I think the running game concerns me with the Chiefs. I think their defense concerns me with the Chiefs, which is the two things I've been riding the whole playoffs with. And I don't have those same concerns with the Bills. And I think Josh Allen and Diggs are good enough to at least stay somewhat tit for tat going against Mahomes and Hill,
Yeah.
So I'll take Bills. I would say Bills.
Okay, so you got the Bills.
Yep.
I'm going Chiefs.
No way.
Yep.
What? I thought you were going Bills.
I know, right?
I really
like,
thought you were
everyone,
going Bills.
all the Bills fans are like,
Dang. Okay.
yeah,
Why?
I'm going Chiefs. So at the end of the day, I think that they're, that firepower. The Chiefs are playing well. The Bills are playing very well. I just think in Kansas City, I think it is going to be a little too much, to be honest with you. I think the Bills could win. I'm not shocked if they do. Honestly, it looked like I was leaning towards Bills, but I changed my mind. Like last week, I was like, I think I'm going to go with the Chiefs. The reason for it, I think Travis Kelce is that good. I think you could double Travis Kelce, it doesn't matter. He's just like, George Kittle and him are 1A, 1B. With Tyreek Hill, they're going to get ways to get him the ball. They know the Bills' secondary is legit. They know it. So they're going to find creative ways, whether it be, you saw it, I think it was last game. They do trick plays like that. They do an end around, they'll throw it to Patrick Mahomes, like they do stuff like that.
Yep.
I wouldn't put it past them if they get, Tyreek Hill in a one-on-one with like a linebacker and they isolate, and having and say the same play that we saw with Devontae Adams. I won't be surprised if they do things like that to get Tyreek Hill the ball.
Sure.
You have to be creative, and this is, we've been talking about Eric Bieniemy for a while. I mean, he's been the talk of the town getting a head coaching gig. This is his opportunity, and I think, I know it's been questioned of how many times he's called the plays. I think he's going to call the plays this Sunday, and I think he's going to be very creative, getting Tyreek Hill the football, getting Kelce the football. They might even run direct snaps to Tyreek Hill. I wouldn't be surprised. Just do different things to get him the ball.
So you think it's going to be the Chiefs' offense just takes over and runs away?
I think,
in a way.
I know it may
not a blowout
I may
run
sound
away,
that way,
but
I think it's going to be a shootout.
So you think
I think the Chiefs win at the end of the day. I don't love their defense. I think the Bills are a better, more complete team. But I think the Chiefs better, like their Chiefs players are better players.
Oh, of course.
So the Bills and Chiefs, you would say the Chiefs are better on paper as far as all around, but the Chiefs have more star power. So like outside the Bills with Stephon Diggs, they don't have a Kelce. And honestly, Bills should really think about getting an elite tight end because I think that would just absolutely change the offense, and I don't know how you'd be able to stop them.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is the Chiefs, they should also think about getting more receivers, not just Demarcus Robinson spending $15 million on Sammy Watkins.
Yeah.
But also, I will say, Sammy Watkins played really well last year in the Super Bowl. He stepped up in key moments. I don't know. I think the Chiefs win. I'm going to say this is going to be a game that gets replayed a lot. 38-34.
Oh, like a classic.
It's going to be a classic, I think. I think the Chiefs win, but it's going to be a classic.
Okay.
And that means I have Aaron Rodgers versus Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
Packers.
I mean,
Chiefs.
that's a fun Super Bowl.
And you have Bucks Bills. So you have Josh Allen versus Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Who they've gone against each other a lot because they used to be in the same division.
Yeah, man.
So once again, Tom Brady stands in the Bills' way.
Yeah.
In your scenario. And then in mine, I have Rodgers looking at a younger version of himself, kind of roided up with, how much he can, work off script in Patrick Mahomes. So
I mean, hard to be disappointed with either of those games.
I think this is what ultimately what the NFL, all they could ask for is just getting exciting, quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. You know, and in either way, regardless of how you feel about Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, you're going to get a quarterback that's established, or you're going to get a quarterback that hasn't established himself in many people's eyes and has an opportunity to turn himself into that like elite status in Josh Allen.
Cool, man.
So I think it's going to be
fun. I'm excited, yeah.
I really can't wait to watch it.
Yeah.
Because for the most part, I haven't watched most of the games live. I've had to go back and rewatch them for the show, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about a game I didn't see.
Right.
So this I'm hoping to see live. Like I want to see both these live. Again, it should be very exciting, and then we have that. We have the Senior Bowl coming up next week, so we'll have to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we can. You want to read through the comments before we sign off?
Yeah, absolutely.
14 minutes left.
So we got, let's see here.
Oh man, dude, I don't know. I just think Josh Allen's gonna prove me wrong, even. Because I was questioning him at the beginning of the year.
You brought up the thing that we said.
Well, I still think it could very well rear its head again if they bring fans back into the stadiums at full force next year. But for now, I think he's answered enough of my questions where I'm not concerned about him reverting back to his old tendencies.
Well, let's see, because we're on other platforms as well.
Yeah, let's read through whatever we got.
So I'm going to read through all the comments, and if Facebook people haven't already cursed me out yet, hopefully. Let's see here. Oh, it doesn't archive. All right, I have to go to Facebook and pick it out myself.
Oh,
And then Twitter.
It doesn't pop on Restream?
It does, but it does live. So, like, it wouldn't show the past ones. See what I'm saying?
Lame.
So, let's see what we got here. And you guys ask us questions. We'll be happy to answer them. So, all right, can't see that unless I go into that. I don't know if that's... Adam's voice seems very professional. Adam is a very professional person.
Oh, wow. Who said that? Thank you, Pac-Man. Appreciate you.
We're reading the comments now. Just want to let you guys know that. Okay, Mike Tomlin is a man of words. He is. War of 1812, Sergeant Tom Brady. Throwback to the time Adam almost drove to New York to thank Jets fans for beating the Browns.
One guy says, where do you think JJ3 should go besides the Chargers, apparently?
Oh,
where would you like to see him?
Well, I was going to say the Chargers, damn it. The Colts. Cap space. Jets. Cap space. I like those two.
What do you think? Is he like a top 10 guy, you think, at his position?
I'm going to say this, non-biased, because I've not been like as high on John Johnson as most of the fans. I think for a while fans wanted to put him in the top 5, and I just never could get behind that.
I don't think that.
No, this year he became a top 5 safety.
Really?
He was awesome this year.
Dang, okay.
Things that he does, he's going to be missed. I can't stress that enough, and he took all the calls for the defense. He was a signal caller for the defense, so yeah, he's not just a slouch, but man, if he plays next to Derwin James, that's going to be terrifying.
That would be crazy.
That would be terrifying.
Jackson Scott says Packers versus Bills, I guess is what he's saying for the Super Bowl, which, yeah,
I
sure.
can see that. I
Yeah.
mean, I had that in Week 16, and I kind of backed off it, but I can definitely see that.
Dead Not Sleeping says, I don't want Brady, Brown, or Bell anywhere near a Super Bowl. And I second that, to be quite honest. But based on my pick, I had Brady and Brown going to one. So
Yeah, no, I feel that. What was I going to say? Yeah, you guys have any other questions? I know we have like 15 people watching right now. So if anybody has any questions before we head out. I mean, we have 11 minutes, so.
yeah. Any other topics we want to brush over? Anything at the top of your head?
I mean, I guess the wacky off season that's ahead. You know, a bunch of teams
Just
are going to
COVID
want
stuff?
quarterbacks. I mean, just like look at, the Saints are probably going to be gone with Drew Brees, And it's like they still have to sign Winston. That's not a guarantee. They have Taysom Hill, who's not a starting quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. Tom Brady could retire if they win a Super Bowl.
I mean, yeah, what are the – oh, yeah.
Why is no one
What's
talking about
the list
that?
of quarterbacks?
I know he
anyways?
wants to play till he's 45, but you want to tell me Tom Brady won't retire if he wins another Super Bowl? Are we 100% sure on that? Like, I think he could.
All right, let's go through the list right now. Wait, do I have access to the full list? Let's see. I think I do. Yeah, so you have Russell Wilson. That's no-brainer. He's, Seahawks don't need a guy right now. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, he's staying. Rodgers staying. Brady, you just said you could see retiring if he won another one.
I don't think he necessarily will, but I think, like, he could.
I feel like he's so insane, he'd be like, again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ryan Tannehill, do you like him enough on the Titans?
Yeah, he was really good.
Okay.
But the question is, was it Arthur Smith or was it Ryan Tannehill?
I guess we'll find out.
I guess we will find out.
Deshaun,
Arthur Smith will trade for
Deshaun
him.
Watson. This is funny because the Texans have a quarterback, but obviously they're not going to have a quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think he plays for the Texans.
What do you think the Texans do? You think they get those picks before this draft? I feel like that's what they have to do, right? They make that trade prior.
I would imagine. I mean, dude, they don't have. They just went through like one of the worst seasons where they pissed off their quarterback so much, and they lost all those games, and they pissed off J.J. Watt. So like he's a legend in that.
So Texans are going to get a heap of picks, and they are probably going to be looking for a quarterback in this draft
because they don't have a pick.
Yeah.
They right now their pick goes to Miami.
It's crazy. And then Lamar Jackson, obviously the Ravens are keeping him.
Yeah.
John Harbaugh already said, like, yeah, we're signing him. Don't worry about it. Josh Allen obviously is good to go. Matt Ryan, we talked about him. The Falcons are probably looking quarterback. If you're a fan of the Falcons, I would want to look quarterback.
I think they should.
Yeah.
If I'm them, I probably get Trey Lance.
Ben Roethlisberger.
I think the Steelers should consider drafting a quarterback if it makes sense. Don't just like press, right?
But I would say you're making me pick. No, you don't go for one right now.
I think you have to focus on interior offensive line.
Rams,
overall.
Jared Goff. What do you do there?
Well, I think the Rams need to consider drafting a quarterback.
Okay, but drafting them high or what?
But you have to trade up, in my opinion. Because here's what I'll say. John Wolford, Bryce Perkins, Jared Goff are better than any quarterback outside the top 4 in this draft. 100%.
Okay. Right.
I have no doubt.
Cool. Derek Carr, I think
Derek Carr played well down the stretch,
chilling.
and I also think that they have Marcus Mariota who played well when he came in.
Yeah, so I don't see them.
They're set there.
Yeah, being like super aggressive there.
Build up that defense.
Kirk Cousins, that's a question. I think. What do you think about him there?
Well, it's like, what is your goal? Are you trying to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, I don't know what their goal is.
If the Vikings are trying to win a Super Bowl, then they shouldn't keep Kirk Cousins. They should move on.
Right.
They should also focus on their defense, too.
Do you think they move on, though?
And they should fire Mike Zimmer.
I think they don't move on. I think they hold on to him.
Oh, they'll probably hold on to him.
Kyler, obviously, you just drafted, so you hold on. Joe Burrow, nope. You keep him, you hold on.
They traded D-Hop for an Applebee's gift card.
Justin Herbert, you hold on to. Carson Wentz is an interesting one, but I think we're just we're agreeing that they either go Hurts or Wentz.
So I think they're going to have them battle it out. They might draft another quarterback. Sirianni might want his own guy. That's possible.
But like a high one? Probably not a high.
No,
high
like
round.
I could see them getting like
second, third round maybe.
I could see them getting like Felipe Franks in like the 5th.
Oh, God.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think they're gonna go super high.
Have fun with that.
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford, we both talked about earlier. We think the Lions are gonna probably just chill with him for now.
If they don't, then
San Francisco.
San Francisco, I could see Lance, Fields, Wilson. San Francisco, no doubt, is going to have a new quarterback under center. It's not going to be Nick Mullins. It's not going to be C.J. Beathard, and it sure as hell isn't going to be Jimmy Garoppolo.
You think they're really that done with him?
Jimmy Garoppolo, Okay, so right now, there's more of a chance that Deshaun Watson is a Rams quarterback next year. Deshaun Watson is a 49ers quarterback next year. Okay. Deshaun Watson is with the Jets next year than there is Jimmy Garoppolo staying.
And then the Saints, hello.
I know.
I mean, Brees just retired, yeah.
I mean,
what are they going to do there, though? They're at a bad position.
Did you see Drew Brees say that, like, this is your team now to Jameis Winston? He's on a 1-year deal.
You think
$2 million.
Do you think they just, like, stick that out with Winston for the year?
It's up for Winston.
You think so?
Winston has all the cards because if they don't, if they want to sign him and he wants more money, he can leave.
And they're not even in a good position to be, like, aggressively moving up, really, for a quarterback.
No.
Phillip Rivers, I mean, he's done.
Yeah, the Colts, they have Jake Eason, and they could bring back Jacoby Brissett. But the thing is, Ballard doesn't want to waste a year. Ballard's always trying to win a Super Bowl. That's why he's one of the best GMs in football. So, you have a great offensive line. You have an 1,100-yard running back in Jonathan Taylor. I'd like to see them go out and improve the wide receiver position because I don't love Zach Pascal. So what I'll say is that I think that they could go out and get Stafford. I think they could get Goff. I think they could go get Wentz or Hurts, as we mentioned. Or Ballard moves up and they get Lance or Fields or one of those guys.
Point is, they need a quarterback.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Even if it's like a mercenary quarterback where they get like Cousins for a year.
Yeah, New England Patriots, Cam Newton. I think that experiment's done. Yeah,
Cam Newton is not a starting quarterback in today's NFL.
They need a quarterback. Daniel Jones and the Giants, I think, for better or worse, they're just riding him out on his rookie deal.
Yeah, they're gonna play him, but I just think, to me, that's complacent. I think it doesn't surprise me. The organization has been a little complacent lately, but the Giants really need to consider going out and getting one of these top quarterbacks.
Teddy Bridgewater, Carolina. I don't know.
Pac-Man, could you agree? James Conner is the issue in the Steelers' run game. It's the dink and dunk.
Hold on, let's finish this list here.
Okay. Well, I had somebody that was like, please answer my question.
Teddy Bridgewater, Carolina.
I don't think they need to.
So you think they ride with him for now?
I keep seeing like Carolina picking like really high, right?
Yeah.
And like picking a quarterback.
Yes.
And I'm like, do they need to do that? No, because Teddy Bridgewater wasn't the problem.
Debatable.
If they had Christian McCaffrey, that's a whole different story.
That's true.
What if I said they were the opposite of the Chiefs, where they were the Chiefs that are in every game, but they lose every game at the end, like the Chargers?
Baker Mayfield, obviously you're riding with him. Andy Dalton, you are obviously riding with no. Cowboys, what do they do, bro? Do they sign Dak? What's going on there?
You pay Dak the bank.
I know, really. Like
Dak's a top 6 quarterback.
I think Andy Dalton might have been the reason why Dak is about to get paid.
Bro, like
for real, I think he gave Dak his
Andy
payday.
Dalton was literally not Andy Dalton. I thank God I didn't say those words. Dak Prescott was literally on pace for 6,000 yards passing.
Yeah, so
they were on a massive run with him, and he was that. Okay, so that team needs to be reconstructed. First off, they should never have hired Mike McCarthy.
Okay, but we're just going rapid fire. Yeah. So what's Dak, right? Sign Dak.
Dak, yes,
okay,
absolutely.
Cool. All right, Gardner Minshew. You like him?
I love Gardner Minshew.
So
he can play for one of those teams.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind if he's on the Patriots. I think that'd be a good fit for him.
But do you think? Okay, all right. We know Jacksonville's going and getting a quarterback, obviously.
Yeah, they're going to get Lawrence.
Yeah. Then you got Nick Foles on the Bears. What do the Bears do, bro?
Well, I think
they had Mitch.
A better option than him.
Didn't they say something like if he doesn't perform in the playoffs, though, we're moving on? Wasn't that like the rumors circulating?
But he got in the playoffs.
Yeah, but then he kind of laid an egg.
They all did.
Yeah, I mean, they all did, true.
I mean, they need to look in the mirror. Matt Nagy's not it.
Yeah.
But, you know what? I mean, if I'm the Bears, I passed on Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson.
Oh, God, that's pain. Imagine. Imagine looking back at that.
It's
now.
like when the Saints traded out of second and everyone's like, you passed on Wentz and you traded out.
Yeah.
And then now it's like, well, we
might get Wentz.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know. I look at the Bears as, again, if your goal is to make the playoffs, sure, roll with Trubisky. I wouldn't mind developing him. I think he's solid. But if you're trying to win a Super Bowl.
So do you think they go for a quarterback, or do you think they stick with what they got right now?
What they probably do, they'll probably stick.
Me too. Unfortunately for them.
I feel bad for Bears fans.
Bears fans, yeah.
They have like 10 tight ends that they draft, and then they drafted a running back after they, unloaded the farm for Khalil Mack.
And then you got Denver with Drew Lock. I think there's enough excitement around Drew Lock that they're like, yeah, you know what? Give him another year.
I like Drew Lock.
Yeah.
I mean, Drew Lock is going to be somebody that's a trade candidate, I think, as well, because I do think Denver really liked Sam Darnold from what I saw, so I could see a potential swap there.
Okay. And then Kyle Allen, Washington football team. We agree they need a quarterback.
I like Kyle Allen, but I don't like him if your job is to win a Super Bowl. To me, this defense is ready.
And I think they're at a good spot in this draft where they can go get a guy they really like too. So
yeah, I mean, I think you just insert Matthew Stafford,
and they have
win a Super Bowl with that.
Matthew Stafford, you think?
Yeah,
I mean, they would be competitive for sure. Compared
Gardner Minshew would be night and day over what they have.
Yeah, and then Sam Darnold, New York Jets. You just said the Jets might be trading Darnold.
I think
they ultimately hold on to him.
I think they hold on to him, and I think they should, but I could see them trading him.
And then lastly, the Miami Dolphins.
They're an interesting one. I said it all along. I watched Alabama a lot because I like Bama. Tua, I liked him at Bama. I appreciated him, but I actually always liked Jalen Hurts more, as crazy as that sounds. So I wasn't shocked to see what he did with Oklahoma. Tua's biggest issue is his health, and for the love of God, he has a really scary injury history where I do worry about him holding up in the NFL.
Yeah.
And on top of it, I know you're a lefty. I'm not trying to offend you, but where are the lefty starters in this league? He's the only lefty starting quarterback in the league, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, it matters.
I think the ball comes out differently. Obviously, receivers have a harder time catching the ball. It just
changes everything. It flips everything. It's not ideal.
No.
But I could see a situation like what the Cardinals did where, they had a Rosen, and they're like, they're not going to move. Are they going to move on from him that quick? And they do. And I could see them doing that.
This goes right in line with what I was saying about the quarterback ecosystem, though.
Yeah, but I do think I could see them doing that.
They're in it's different. It's totally different.
And I wouldn't be mad if I was a Dolphins fan about if they did it.
No, because, I mean, are you 100% sold on Tua? If your answer is no, then
yeah.
As you saw, this defense was good enough. They were. And Ryan Fitzpatrick put them in position to win football games. Yep. And there were times where literally you could tell Flores didn't want to start Tua. It was the higher ups that were saying you have to start him.
Yeah, because we drafted him.
Because he would be like, all right, so I'll start him. Yeah. But if he plays horrible,
he's getting
you bet
ripped.
your butt I'm going to have Ryan Fitzpatrick in there. Yeah. So I think it was a smart idea, but I think Miami could look at Watson. I don't necessarily think that Watson wants to go there. I know people are like, "Oh yeah," but I also don't think Houston wants Tua. So I think that's another predicament.
But I just wanted to run through that list real quick.
Yeah, I mean,
so basically what we surmised, dude, is like half the teams right now could realistically be aggressively looking at quarterback in this draft.
and right now I think you do have more than 32 starting caliber quarterbacks in the NFL.
Okay.
I think because I guess you have to know what your goal is. If your goal is to win Super Bowls, then you don't have 32.
Right.
But if your goal is to win Super Bowls, then you have, I think, at least 15 to 20 quarterbacks that can win you a Super Bowl. Like truly win. Not saying like be carried by a defense. I personally think anybody out of like the starting caliber quarterbacks past the 32 number can win you a Super Bowl if you have the caliber of defense that you need.
Sure.
So
cool. All right.
That's where we're going with the league. And
you said there were questions you want to run through real quick before we end, or
well, I mean,
you brought up something about Connor.
Yeah, could you agree James Conner isn't the issue in the Steelers' run game? It's the dink and dunk is the problem because the line's always stuffed and corners are always pressing. I mean, I think there's some truth to that.
Yes. Yeah, I've said all year.
If I'm the Steelers, I wouldn't move on from Connor.
I would.
I understand if you
Why are you going to pay him? Why would you just get another rookie running back with similar skill sets in the third or fourth?
Oh, no, hold on a second.
He's a free agent.
He's a free agent.
You'd have to pay him. Yeah, there's no point. I wouldn't cut him.
Yeah, no, I thought he was under.
No,
I don't know why I thought he was under you for
man.
Under contract for another year. Yeah, I would.
But yeah, I would agree. It wasn't the running backs that were the problem this year. It was the O-line.
I think the best fit would be Jamal Williams. I don't know if he's a free agent, but I love his running style.
I just think they draft someone.
But I mean, if they draft someone, then here's what I will say: they have Anthony McFarland.
Yes, I love.
They have Snell.
Yep.
If you draft someone, it needs to be a do-it-all type of guy.
Yes.
And it needs to be a built running back.
Yes.
So maybe the Buffalo guy, Jared Patterson. I don't know if he stayed or not, or the UNC guy whose name is.
I haven't watched them enough yet.
But I will.
But I'll look into them.
Yeah, I will. Hold on, let me pull him up real quick because I need to name drop him because ETN is up there.
Yeah, of course.
I know Najee Harris is talked about a lot. Oh, sorry. North Carolina has two running backs, Javonte Williams and Michael Carter.
Got you.
And Javonte Williams is the guy I was talking about, 220 pound, 5'10". I love Kenneth Gainwell, 5'11", 191 out of Memphis. I told you Memphis has – they're a running back factory there. Anthony Jones Jr., the running back coach, is doing a tremendous job. And then Trey Sermon, if you want to get a bigger back, 6 foot, 220 at Ohio State.
That's a big boy. Cool,
so,
man.
Those are some guys. Obviously, Najee Harris is probably the go-to if you want like a true, built to look like, built for tough, as they would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna do it.
Awesome. That was fun, man. Good stuff as always.
Yeah. So we'll be back next Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll be discussing the Super Bowl for the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
But I think we'll focus more on the NFL draft and
transition into that.
Yeah, we'll do more NFL draft stuff next week, and we're also going to focus on the Senior Bowl as well. So
awesome.
Appreciate you guys, and you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and